Chapter 235. Let's go. Let's go into the ancient city. Shang Han was the first to rush into the ancient city barrier. The rest of the team followed closely behind. After Li Xiaoyun and the others rushed into the barrier, the crack in the barrier slowly disappeared. The tormented souls lingered in place for a while before leaving. Inside the ancient city barrier, Li Xiaoyun and the others breathed a sigh of relief. I didn't expect to encounter the saber wielder. It was too thrilling. Indeed. Let's count the casualties. Everyone began to count the casualties and found that the losses in this battle were higher than expected. More than half of the Yunxiao battle team was dead or injured. This made Li Xiaoyun's expression very ugly. Damn it. The Lu Kingdom's treasures are right in front of us. Their deaths are worth it, Shang Han said faintly. As soon as he said this, everyone's eyes lit up as they looked at the ancient city in front of them. They gulped and their eyes revealed their desire. The Lu Kingdom's treasures. The Lu Kingdom's treasures that countless people dreamed of were right in front of them. As long as they could get the treasures, any sacrifice would be worth it. With this thought in mind, everyone began to search the ancient city. Such a huge Lu Kingdom is gone just like that. I wonder why, one of the team members lamented. Who knows? Let's look for the treasures first. It should be in the palace. Everyone went straight to the palace. Soon they saw the palace's treasure vault and rushed in excitedly. Then they were all stunned. Where's the treasure? Why is there nothing? The Lu Kingdom's treasures. Where did the Lu Kingdom's treasures go? Everyone could not accept it. They had gone through so many hardships to get here and sacrificed so many people just for the Lu Kingdom's treasures. Now, however, the treasures were gone. Those with slightly weaker Taoist hearts were about to vomit blood. This can't be. The Lu Kingdom's heritage is stronger than the likes of the royal Azure dynasty. How could there be nothing? Shang Han was also dumbfounded. Hold on, look, what's that? Suddenly, someone exclaimed as he looked at a pillar. Everyone looked over and saw a line of words. Before they could see it clearly, they felt an extremely cold sword-based Taoist rhyme rushing toward them. Li Xiaoyun was a swordsman. Moreover, he was a great swordsman ranked 10th in the 100-sword spectrum. However, even he was shocked when he felt the sword-based Taoist rhyme. His expression turned serious. What a terrifying sword Taoist rhyme. The person who left these words is definitely a terrifying sword cultivator. Li Xiaoyun stared at it and read out the words on it. Chu Kuangren was here. All of a sudden, everyone became quiet. The moment Chu Kuangren's name came out, it was as if it had a magical power that shocked everyone, causing their expressions to change. Chu Kuangren, how can it be him? It's actually him who obtained the Lu Kingdom's treasure. Damn it, how did he get in? After finding out who had obtained the Lu Kingdom's treasures, not only did everyone not have the thought of snatching the treasures back, but they also felt even more hopeless. It was all because the person who obtained the treasure was called Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren ranked first in the 100-sword spectrum. No wonder he has such a sword-based Taoist rhyme. He truly lives up to his name, Li Xiaoyun murmured. Damn it, damn it. Beside him, Shang Han's face was livid. The spiritual power in his body boiled uncontrollably and bombarded the surrounding walls. He was so angry that he was about to go crazy. He had gone through many books to find the Lu clan's ancient sword, and he had gone through many hardships to arrive at the Lu Kingdom. He did not expect Chu Kuangren to beat him to it. It's you again, it's you again. Why are you one step ahead of me again? Damn it. Everyone looked at Shang Han, who was venting his anger in a frenzy, and they could not help but feel pity for him. They knew that Shang Han was a young emperor, one of the top sky prides in this world. However, who would dare to call themselves a sky pride in front of Chu Kuangren? All the so-called sky prides were not even worth mentioning in front of him. Captain, what should we do now? A member of the Yunxiao troop said unwillingly. They had gone through many hardships to get here. Were they going to go back empty-handed? Thinking of this, no one would be willing to give up. What else can we do? Do you want to fight Chu Kuangren to the death? Li Xiaoyun said. How would I dare to do that? That troop member quickly shook his head. Fight Chu Kuangren to the death? Stop joking. It was more like courting death. In this world, how many people would dare to fight Chu Kuangren? Even sages would have to think twice before doing so. Sigh, I can't believe that Chu Kuangren would take away this treasure. What a waste of effort. Everyone was extremely dejected and listless. Holding on to their last glimmer of hope, they searched the treasury again to see if they could find anything. For example, whether Chu Kuangren had left anything behind or not. However, they could not even find a single soul stone. Chu Kuangren was too thorough in his looting. Captain, we have a new discovery here. At that moment, Li Xiaoyun received a message from his troop members. Everyone came to the palace hall with hope in their hearts. Here they saw the countless runes and the Lu Kingdom ruler who was holding the Heaven's Halberd in his hand. When he saw the Heaven's Halberd, Shang Han's expression changed from disbelief to ecstasy. The Heaven's Halberd, it really is the Heaven's Halberd. No way. Are you kidding me? Chu Kuangren left the most valuable treasure behind and didn't take it away. He can't be stupid, right? Shang Han was ecstatic. The Heaven's Halberd was his biggest goal on this trip. Initially, when he saw Chu Kuangren's words, he no longer had any hope of getting the Heaven's Halberd. However, he never expected that Chu Kuangren would not take away the most valuable Boundary Emperor weapon in the Lu Kingdom. Shang Han could not wait to enter the palace hall. At that moment, the Lu Kingdom ruler's body trembled slightly as he shot out a golden light that transformed into his appearance before he was born and began to play a video. Newcomer. I am the Lu Kingdom ruler. The Lu Kingdom ruler began to narrate the past, telling everyone about the millions of tormented souls sealed under the palace and asking them not to take the Heaven's Halberd. Everyone was shocked when they heard that. They did not expect such a dangerous thing to be under their feet. Captain, what should we do? Let's go. This thing is not something we can touch. Li Xiaoyun said calmly. Everyone reluctantly glanced at the Heaven's Halberd. However, at that moment, everyone saw Shang Han ignore the Lu Kingdom ruler's advice and walk towards the Heaven's Halberd with a crazed look on his face. This is a Boundary Emperor weapon, how can I give it up? If Chu Kuangren doesn't dare to take it, I'll take it. Chu Kuangren pretends to be benevolent and cares about the people of the world, but I'll follow my heart and take this Boundary Emperor weapon. I'll let the world know that Chu Kuangren is no match for me, Shang Han. He grabbed the Heaven's Halberd, and the spiritual power within his body erupted as he pulled the Heaven's Halberd out of the Lu Kingdom ruler's hand. Suddenly, the entire palace and even the entire Lu city trembled violently, and cracks began to appear on the ground. It was as if some terrifying existence was about to rush out. Inside the palace, the golden runes began to shatter. This is bad. Let's go. Li Xiaoyun was terrified, and the rest of the battle team members also began to rush out of the palace in a panic. Chapter 236. Shang Han, who had obtained the Heaven's Halberd, immediately flew out of the palace without hesitation. His speed was even faster than Li Xiaoyun and the rest. Li Xiaoyun and the rest cursed loudly behind his back. That damn Shang Han, is he crazy? He doesn't care about our lives and forcefully took the Heaven's Halberd. This guy is too evil. What a bastard. Now that things have come to this, there's no point in talking anymore. Let's run. Everyone ran out of Lucheng. When they ran out of the palace, they saw that the entire palace had begun to collapse, revealing a huge crack in the ground. Within the crack, a terrifying ferocious aura was rumbling. Li Xiaoyun took the time to look back. Then he saw a scene that made his scalp tingle. From the crack in the ground, a black torrent suddenly rose into the sky. It was formed by countless tormented souls. Roars and screams continuously gushed out from this black torrent, and the sinister and twisted faces made one's heart palpitate. Just one glance was enough to make Li Xiaoyun feel an unprecedented impact on his Taoist heart. He could not help but increase his speed of escape. Kill, kill, kill everyone. Woo woo, I'm out, I'm out. Countless tormented souls were roaring and yelling, and there were even some unintelligible whimpers mixed together like the demonic sounds of hell. Boundless ferocious aura and resentment filled the world. The enchanted barrier of Lu Cheng could not withstand this terrifying power and shattered on the spot. Countless tormented souls rushed out of the enchanted barrier. For a moment, the entire inner zone of the ancient battlefield was shaken by this torrent of tormented souls. Countless tormented souls let out uneasy roars. Even these tormented souls who had lived in the ancient battlefield for a long time could not help but be frightened by this tormented army from tens of thousands of years ago. This towering resentment seemed to be tolerated by heaven and earth. Oh my God, what have we released? Li Xiaoyun and the rest who rushed out of the enchanted barrier looked at the sky full of tormented souls and could not help but gulp. Their faces were filled with shock and horror. At that moment, some of the tormented souls noticed them. These tormented souls were wearing armor and holding weapons. They stared at them ferociously and rushed towards them without saying a word. Living people, kill. The tormented souls rushed towards Li Xiaoyun and the rest. That endless resentment was shocking. Li Xiaoyun's team members were all shocked, and their reactions slowed down for a second. In that instant, the consequences were unimaginable. One by one, the tormented souls tore at the members of the battle team and sliced them into pieces. "Quick, gather together!" Li Xiaoyan yelled. The remaining members quickly gathered around him. Li Xiaoyan took out a bead and crushed it. A mysterious Taoist rhyme filled the air, causing the surrounding sand to rise into the air and form a sand barrier around them, preventing the tormented souls from approaching. After attacking for a while, the tormented army no longer paid them any heed. They looked towards the direction of Sunsoil City in the distance and quickly rushed towards it. Having been sealed under the palace for tens of thousands of years, the weight of their grievances could be said to be earth-shattering. They needed to vent. Killing and devouring were the best ways for them to vent. Wherever the tormented army went, other tormented existences would be devoured. The heavens and earth were shrouded in a gloomy atmosphere, as if doomsday had arrived. In the direction of Sunsoil City, there were experts who sensed all this. Not good, the tormented souls are attacking. What? Tormented souls, so many tormented souls, such terrifying grievances. This is not something that humans can handle. Run. My God, with such a large number of tormented souls, it won't be long before the entire Sunsoil City becomes a living hell. We can't stay here any longer. Run. One by one, the cultivators began to flee Sunsoil City frantically. Inside the restaurant, it was a scene of panic. Everyone began to pack up and flee to other places. Chen Fugui could not help but laugh bitterly when he saw this. This restaurant is gone. What a loss, what a loss. With the arrival of the tormented army, the entire Sunsoil City could not be saved, let alone his small restaurant. Boss, hurry up and leave. If the tormented souls come, even I might not be able to protect you. A green figure appeared behind Chen Fugui and said, "Got it." Chen Fugui pouted. A few hundred miles away from Sunsoil City, there was an orthodoxy. It was the Horizon Wing sect, an honorable orthodoxy. Today the Horizon Wing sect rang the alarm bell that had not rung for many years, announcing that the Horizon Wing sect was about to enter a life-and-death crisis. Countless disciples' faces turned solemn as they hurriedly gathered together. The Horizon Wing sect's current sect leader was clad in a full set of armor. He said to the countless disciples below, "I can sense a terrifying force coming from the ancient battlefield towards this direction. It's an army, a terrifying army made up of tormented souls. Once they break through Sunsoil City, the tens of millions of civilians under the jurisdiction of the Horizon Wing sect will suffer. I've already sent a request to the Black Heaven sect, but it'll take some time for reinforcements to arrive. I plan to lead some people to fight against the tormented souls first. Everyone, this is destined to be a battle of life and death with heavy casualties. If any of you wish to leave, please leave now." After that, all the disciples began to discuss among themselves. Not long after, more than a dozen people left one after another. However, the rest of them had a determined look on their faces. Most of them were born and raised on this land, so they had feelings for this land. They could not sit back and watch the tormented souls kill without restraint. "All right, let's fight against the tormented souls together. Let's go." The Horizon Wing sect leader shouted. Then, streaks of light flew towards the direction of Sunsoil City. Deep within the ancient battlefield, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu arrived at the edge of the core area. He could clearly feel that the ferocious qi contained within the core area far surpassed that of the inner zone. This was the true forbidden area. "Master, do we still have to go forward?" Lan Yu asked curiously. The ferocious qi in the core area was so strong that even a young emperor like her felt threatened. Once they went deeper, they would most likely die. However, if Chu Kuangren wanted to go, she would follow him. Chu Kuangren looked at the core area from afar and fell into deep thought. With his powerful strength and many trump cards, it was not impossible for him to explore the core area. However, this was one of the 10 great forbidden areas and he was bringing Lan Yu with him. If anything happened, he would regret it. Suddenly, Chu Kuangren looked surprised. In his field of vision, he saw a white figure appear in the core area from afar. It was a skinny figure wearing a white robe, holding a black spear in his hand, and his face was covered with a mask. However, that white figure only stayed in his field of vision for a moment before it disappeared. Besides him, not even Lan Yu who was beside him could be seen. "Is that the white robe general?" Chu Kuangren was surprised. He did not expect to meet one of the 7 great ghost stories here. Just as he saw the white robe general, Chu Kuangren suddenly felt an extremely terrifying ferocious qi coming from behind him. He turned around and saw a black torrent rising into the sky from the direction of Lu City before it headed towards Sunsoil City. Could that be the tormented army of the tranquil kingdom? Chu Kuangren's pupils shrunk. He did not expect the tormented army to be released so soon after he left. Chapter 237. Master. Lan Yu looked at the tormented army with a solemn expression. Let's go. Let's go and have a look. Chu Kuangren frowned and then dashed towards the direction of the ancient Lu kingdom. At this time, the enchanted boundary of the Lu kingdom had been destroyed by the endless tormented army, exposing the huge ancient city to the sunlight. Outside the city, a sand ball that was formed from countless grains of sand suddenly trembled. Then the sand fell and the sand ball dissipated. Li Xiaoyun and the others looked around and could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. The tormented army is finally gone. Phew, we just survived a disaster. It's too terrifying. This is too terrifying. The tormented army's resentment is so strong that I've never seen anything like it in my long time in the ancient battlefield. I'm afraid Sunsoil City is going to be gone. Everyone said with lingering fear. D*MN it's all that D*MN Shanghan's fault. How could he take that boundary emperor weapon and destroy the seal? Scarface cursed. At the mention of that, the others were also furious. This time they had really suffered a huge loss. After losing so many people, they finally found the ancient Lu kingdom, but they did not even see a single piece of the treasure. They even released the tormented army that had been sealed for tens of thousands of years. Moreover, the culprit was Shang Han, the young emperor of the Shang clan. With their strength and background, they could not do anything to him. They could only grit their teeth and bear with it. Let's go. We can't stay here any longer, Li Xiaoyun said. He was about to leave with the others. At that moment, two figures suddenly appeared in front of them. It's them. Scarface saw the two people walking towards them and said, "These two are the ones that I told you about. They're the ones with the broken sage weapon." At that, a cold glint flashed in his eyes. Since we haven't gotten the Lu Kingdom's treasure, we can't let go of the broken sage weapon. If it was just one person, he would have considered attacking. However, since Li Xiaoyun and the others were here, he no longer had any scruples. Boom. Scarface stomped on the ground and his whole body shot out like a cannonball, charging towards Chu Kuangren and Li Xiaoyun. Brat, hand over your life. Scarface unleashed a slash with his Taoist rhyme locking onto Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren looked up and gently raised his hand. A surge of Taoist rhyme that was many times more majestic than Scarface's instantly erupted, turning into a divine mountain that smashed onto the other party's body. With a bang, Scarface was beaten into a bloody mist on the spot. In the battle team, the other people who still wanted to attack were stunned. What was going on? What just happened? Kiss. When everyone regained their senses, they couldn't help but gasp. Among them, Scarface's strength could be said to be at the peak. Although he wasn't a supreme being, he wasn't far from it. However, it had been blown up with a single slap. The newcomer was actually this powerful. Alert! Li Xiaoyun yelled. Everyone took out their weapons. They were about to have a mental breakdown. How did they encounter so many things in just one day? First, he was ambushed by the tormented sword fiends and the other tormented souls. After he finally found the ancient Lu kingdom, he lost the treasure and narrowly escaped death under the tormented army. Now, he had encountered another existence that seemed extremely difficult to deal with. Oh my God. Did you not look at the almanac when you went out today? Li Xiaoyun could not help but gulp as he looked at Chu Kuangren, who was slowly approaching him. His heart was beating extremely fast in his chest. Danger. Extremely dangerous. The person in front of him was definitely the greatest enemy he had ever met in his life. It seems that the person on the other side isn't very friendly, Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Initially, he just wanted to ask what had happened here, but he did not expect that Scarface would attack him without saying a word. Hence, he had no choice but to slap him to death. However, it seemed like it would be a little difficult to ask a normal question now. I guess I'll have to suppress him a little before I ask. Chu Kuangren pressed his hand on the descendant self-sword at his waist. The blade gently trembled. Then, an indescribably terrifying sword-based Taoist rhyme erupted from Chu Kuangren's body and swept out in an earth-shattering manner. When this sword-based Taoist rhyme landed on the Yunxiao battle team, their faces instantly turned pale and their eyes were filled with extreme fear. Apart from Li Xiaoyun, everyone else felt as if 100,000 mountains had been placed on their backs as they were all pressed to the ground. Even Li Xiaoyun's legs turned to jelly, and his clothes were drenched in cold sweat in just a few breaths. This Taoist rhyme. You're Chu Kuangren, Li Xiaoyun said with a trembling voice. This Taoist rhyme was exactly the same as the words left in the Lu Kingdom's treasury. There was no doubt that the person in front of them was the one who left those words in the treasury. That was the world-renowned Chu Kuangren. "Oh, I see that you've recognized me." Chu Kuangren withdrew the spiritual light from his face and revealed a peerless face, no longer hiding himself. Seeing his face, Li Xiaoyun and the others no longer had any doubts. Rumor had it that Chu Kuangren's appearance was unparalleled. Was the person in front of them not unparalleled? No wonder he could kill seventh brother with a single slap. It turns out that he's Chu Kuangren. How did we provoke such an existence? Wait a minute, Chu Kuangren is here and his words are still in the treasury. Don't tell me that the treasury was opened in just a few days? F***ck me, how bad is our luck then? Everyone lay on the ground and began to discuss. Li Xiaoyun forced himself not to kneel, but that alone had exhausted all of his strength, let alone resisting. I can't believe the gap between me and him is so huge. Li Xiaoyun was an honorable supreme, ranked 10th in the 100-sword spectrum. He believed that he could even fight Murong Feng, who was ranked 2nd. However, before Chu Kuangren, who was ranked 1st in the 100-sword spectrum, he found it hard to even draw his sword. Tell me what happened here. Chu Kuangren walked to Li Xiaoyun and said. Li Xiaoyun did not dare to hide anything from Chu Kuangren. He told Chu Kuangren about their search for the ancient city and how Shanghan released the tormented souls. Shanghan? That name sounds familiar. Chu Kuangren pondered, wondering where he had heard it before. Master, he's the Shang clan's young emperor. 4 years ago, you defeated him in the royal Azure Dynasty Palace, Lan Yu reminded. Upon hearing that, Chu Kuangren finally understood. Oh, it's him. If you didn't mention it, I wouldn't have remembered. I've fought this person before. He's so weak that I don't even remember him. Chu Kuangren shook his head and sighed. Beside him, Li Xiaoyun and the others had a complicated look on their faces. Was that Shanghan weak? Not at all. As a young emperor he was extremely powerful. His combat strength was even stronger than some of the honorables. However, in Chu Kuangren's eyes, he was not even worth remembering. If Shanghan knew about this, who knew what he would think? The person that Shanghan viewed as his mortal enemy did not even remember him. Was this how a real boss should be? Sunsoil City. Looks like we'll have to leave the exploration of the core area for another time, Chu Kuangren murmured as he looked into the distance. In a flash, he brought Lan Yu with him and headed towards Sunsoil City. As soon as he left, the sword-based Taoist rhyme that enveloped everyone slowly dissipated. Everyone felt their bodies relax as if they had been given a new life. They lay on the ground, panting. Is that Chu Kuangren? He's so terrifying. Yeah, we can't fight back against him. Powerful, terrifying. Chapter 238. Inside Sunsoil City. Countless adventurers had abandoned the city and fled. From afar they could see the black torrent approaching them. It was a terrifying army made up of countless tormented souls. The soaring murderous aura and resentment were daunting. Wherever the army passed, the tormented souls were easily torn apart, destroyed, and devoured. No one could stop them. From afar, the crowd could even see an honorable adventurer being dragged into the tormented army. Within a few breaths, he was torn into pieces. It was a gruesome sight. The tormented army seemed to have only one rule: kill anyone on sight. This is too terrifying. I'm afraid Sunsoil City is going to be gone today. Everyone, including the few famous top-notch troops in Sunsoil City, had no choice but to flee in the face of the tormented army. However, among the fleeing crowd, a group of defiant ones appeared. While everyone was busy fleeing Sunsoil City, these people were heading straight for Sunsoil City from afar. Every single one of them had a determined look on their faces. These people are from the Horizon Wing sect. What are they doing? What are they doing in Sunsoil City? Everyone was puzzled. At that moment, someone lamented, after Sunsoil City is the territory under the jurisdiction of the Horizon Wing sect. There are tens of millions of civilians living there. Once Sunsoil City is gone, you can imagine what will happen to the civilians. They're here to defend against the tormented souls. Hearing this, some people had a look of respect in their eyes. However, there were also those who scoffed. These people think they can defend against the tormented army? They must be tired of living. That's right, this army is too terrifying. Forget about one Horizon Wing sect. Even 10 Horizon Wing sects wouldn't be able to stop it. They'll just be sending themselves to their deaths if they go. In Sunsoil City. As soon as Lung Changkong and the others returned to Sunsoil City, they saw the majestic and resentful tormented army. Lung Changkong immediately thought of the countless civilians under the jurisdiction of the Horizon Wing sect. He knew that his sect would not leave them be. As expected. Not long after, he received a message from the Horizon Wing sect. Old Zhang, bring Wang Chao and the others away. Lung Changkong said to Old Zhang of the Horizon Wing squad. Other than the people from the Horizon Wing sect, there were also a few people who were not from the Horizon Wing sect. There was no reason for them to stay and fight the tormented army. Captain, what are you talking about? I don't know about the others, but I, Old Zhang, am not leaving. We agreed to live and die together, Old Zhang said. Yes, we're not leaving either. Aren't they just tormented souls? I've seen too many of them. The members of the Horizon Feather Battle Team had been through thick and thin together for many years. None of them wanted to leave. At this point, Lung Changkong suddenly felt that his greatest achievement in this life was not becoming a Taoist, but having this group of brothers. At this moment, rays of light flew over the heads of Lung Changkong and the others. The people from the Horizon Wing sect had arrived. Let's go. Lung Changkong took a deep breath, his eyes filled with determination. He led the crowd toward the city wall of Jianghu City. In the city, among the fleeing crowd, there was a young monk dressed in cloth clothes and shoes. He held a Buddhist staff in his hand and was also walking towards the city walls. Everyone was surprised to see him. This monk doesn't want his life anymore. He actually dares to go to the city gates. Isn't he afraid of the tormented souls? Who cares? Let's just run. The young monk listened to the people around him with a calm expression. He looked at the incoming tormented souls from afar and murmured, Amitabha, if I don't go to hell, who will? At this thought, he walked towards the city gates without hesitation. At this moment, he saw the Horizon Wing sect cultivators flying towards the city walls to fend off the tormented souls. He smiled. My path is not lonely, my path is not lonely. On the city walls of Jianghu City, the Horizon Wing sect master and a group of elders were looking at the tormented army from afar with grave expressions. The tormented army's terror was beyond their imagination. Even from afar they could still feel the immense pressure. That terrifying resentment caused goosebumps to rise all over their bodies. At this time, Lung Changkong and the others had also arrived. Greetings, sect master elders. This is wartime. There's no need for formalities. Yes. Lung Changkong noticed a young monk beside the Horizon Wing sect master and could not help but be curious. This master is? My name is Wu Yi. The young monk Wu Yi smiled faintly. Upon hearing this, Lung Changkong and the others could not help but be shocked. Wu Yi, the Thunder Temple's Arhat. Wu Yi, the outstanding figure of the younger generation of Buddhism and also one of the 38 young emperors. Wu Yi is here too. Wu Yi was a well-known name among the younger generation. The titles of Arhat and Young Emperor were enough to resound throughout the world. Master Wu Yi came to the ancient battlefield to train. Now that we've encountered the tormented army, Master Wu Yi is compassionate and has come to help. The Horizon Wing sect master said. I see. Lung Changkong's expression turned solemn as he bowed to Wu Yi. Then the group began to discuss how to deal with the tormented army. The tormented army was less than 100 miles away from Jianghu City. With the speed of the tormented army, they would arrive in no time at all. There was not much time left for the group. I've observed them. The tormented army's individual strength is not strong, but they're very concentrated, just like a military formation. They've gathered all the tormented army's strength together. That's the trickiest part. That's right. If we can break this formation, the tormented army will disperse. Then it'll be much easier to deal with them. How do we break this formation? Since it's a military formation, there must be a general leading it. As long as we eliminate the general among the tormented army, this formation can be broken. But there are so many tormented army, how do we find the general? At this point, the group fell into another dilemma. Arhat Wu Yi smiled faintly. Leave it to me. The group looked at him. The Horizon Wing sect master's heart skipped a beat. Rumor has it that the Thunder Temple has a technique called the Divine Eye. When cultivated to the extreme, one can observe the 3 realms and 6 paths. Master Wu Yi, are you thinking of using the Divine Eye to find the tormented army general? I can give it a try. Wu Yi nodded slightly. Then a golden light flashed in his eyes. With the Divine Eye activated, the tormented army in the distance immediately came into view. The majestic resentment surged towards him, causing his body to tremble. His Divine Eye was almost blinded. With a solemn expression, he began to search among the tormented army. Finally, he locked onto a tormented army. The tormented army was clad in a set of black armor, and the resentment on its body was extremely dense. Countless tormented army hovered around it as if they were protecting it. Looks like this is the tormented army's leader. Arhat Wu Yi explained his discovery to the Horizon Wing Sect Master and the others. Next, we'll have to kill this tormented army general. Leave it to me. The Horizon Wing Sect Master smiled faintly. He took out a golden longbow that exuded an extraordinary Taoist rhyme. Then an arrow appeared in his hand. He knocked the arrow and, under Wu Ye's guidance, locked onto the tormented army general's position. The Horizon Wing Sect Master pulled the golden longbow to its fullest extent and continuously channeled spiritual energy into the longbow. Then, with a whoosh, the arrow shot through the air and turned into a golden ray of light that flew towards the tormented army general. Chapter 239. The arrow pierced through the air like a ray of light. The arrow pierced through the tormented army and headed straight for the tormented general. The tormented army along the way was pierced through and shattered into pieces. In the blink of an eye, the arrow had traveled hundreds of miles and arrived in front of the tormented general. Everyone's eyes lit up. We did it. But at this moment, the general suddenly raised his right hand and grabbed the arrow. A boundless and terrifying killing intent erupted. The arrow trembled violently before it was crushed into pieces. This scene caused the Horizon Wing Sect Master's pupils to shrink. How is this possible? He was dumbfounded. Although the golden bow in his hand was not a sacred weapon, it was still a top-notch supreme weapon. Coupled with his supreme honorable cultivation base, even a supreme honorable would find it difficult to defend against it. Yet, the tormented general had crushed it with brute force. What kind of strength was that? A top-tier honorable supreme that's even close to a demi-sage. The Horizon Wing Sect Master's expression was grim. The rest of them looked equally grim. Roar. The tormented general seemed to be enraged by the ambush. He let out a roar and the tormented army suddenly accelerated their advance. It would not be long before they would have to face the tormented army head-on. D*MN, if we don't break through the tormented army's formation, this battle will be difficult. I'm afraid we won't be able to hold on for long with our current strength. No matter what, we must fight this battle. The Horizon Wing Sect Master took a deep breath and looked determined. D*MN, I don't believe it. An elder rushed out with a spear in his hand that was glowing brightly. A powerful Taoist rhyme circulated within it. The spear shot out and a majestic burst of Taoist rhyme rushed into the tormented army. The spear was aimed directly at the tormented general. However, before it could get close, it was blocked by the other tormented army. It could not hurt the general at all. D*MN, Heavenly Sword Chi. Another elder slashed out with his sword. Wu Yi took a deep breath and formed a mysterious hand seal. A golden Buddhist light imbued with the power of Vajra shot out. A sword and a Buddhist light shot towards the tormented general. However, just like before, it was completely ineffective. After the previous ambush, the number of tormented souls surrounding the tormented general had increased, making it even more difficult for them to break through. Damn it! Lung Changkong was indignant. He continued to channel his sword chi towards the tormented army. However, even an expert like the Horizon Wing Sect Master Wu Yi could not do it, let alone a mere Paradise Realm cultivator. The sword chi was like a clay ox entering the sea, there was no response. The Horizon Wing Sect Master sighed and said, Changkong, conserve your spiritual energy and prepare for the upcoming battle. Lung Changkong nodded reluctantly. But suddenly, he thought of something. He once again channeled his spirit energy into the sword in his hand. The Horizon Wing Sect Master could not help but frown when he saw this. Why didn't this child listen to my advice? Just as he was about to reprimand Lung Changkong, a terrifying sword-based Taoist rhyme suddenly erupted from Lung Changkong's sword. This sword-based Taoist rhyme was so powerful that it instantly engulfed the entire city wall. Everyone looked in the direction of Lung Changkong in shock. What a strong pressure. How could Daozi possibly have such strength? It's not the Daozi, it's the sword in his hand. What's going on? The sword in Lung Changkong's hand emitted a dazzling purple radiance. The dazzling sword ray circulated around the sword's edge as if it was about to burst out. Lung Changkong was stunned. Before returning to Sunsoil City, Chu Kuangren had left a surge of sword chi in his sword, telling him that he could use it if he encountered an opponent that he could not defeat. However, they did not encounter any danger on their way back to Sunsoil City, so the surge of sword chi was preserved until now. Just now he was only trying his best to channel the sword chi. He did not have high hopes for it. After all, even experts like the Horizon Wing Sect Master and Wu Yi could not do much here. What could Chu Kuangren's surge of sword chi do? However, he did not expect that. That surge of sword chi was so powerful. The endless power that came from the sword made his scalp numb. It was a terrifying power that he had never seen before. And now that power was in his hands. At that moment, his heart was filled with pride. He could not help but raise the sword in his hand and aim it at the tormented army's general. He took a step forward and a majestic sword pressure swept out. Slash. With a loud roar, the sword in his hand slashed down. A dazzling purple sword ray swept out like an endless torrent and slashed into the group of tormented souls. Wherever the sword chi passed, the tormented souls were shattered into nothingness. As if sensing an unprecedented threat, the tormented general let out a piercing howl. A terrifying ferocious chi erupted from his body and turned into a hideous skull that collided with the sword ray. As the two forces collided, the skull exploded. The sword ray landed on the tormented general's body without holding back. After a scream, the tormented general was completely destroyed by the sword ray. Without their general, the remaining tormented army fell into chaos. On top of Sunsoil City's walls, everyone stared at Leng Changkong dumbfounded. They were still immersed in the shock of that terrifying sword attack. The general that everyone was helpless against was defeated just like that. A surge of sword chi from a Paradise Realm cultivator. At that moment, Leng Changkong was the center of attention. However, both Wu Yi and the Horizon Wing Sect Master knew that it was not Leng Changkong's doing. It was someone else who performed that attack. At that moment, the long sword in Leng Changkong's hand suddenly let out a cracking sound. Cracks appeared all over the sword before it finally shattered into countless pieces and fell to the ground. Leng Changkong sucked in a cold breath. One should know that his sword was a supreme weapon, but it could not withstand the power of that surge of sword chi. It shattered right after it was released. Changkong, what's going on? The Horizon Wing Sect Master quickly asked. This surge of sword chi was given to me by a fellow cultivator from the Black Heaven sect. He saved me 2 days ago and asked me to bring him around the ancient battlefield. Before we parted ways, he imbued this surge of sword chi into my sword. Leng Changkong briefly explained the incident. Black Heaven sect? Who's that from the Black Heaven sect? His face was shrouded in a spiritual light, so it was difficult to see him clearly. However, he mentioned that his surname is Chu, Leng Changkong said. Surname Chu. Could it be? The Horizon Wing Sect Master's pupils shrunk as if he had thought of something. Someone from the Black Heaven sect with such power? Surname Chu. All these characteristics made him think of a person. Is there a silver-haired lady beside him? Wu Yi asked. Yes, I think that lady's surname is Lan. Then I'm sure. Wu Yi and the Horizon Wing Sect Master looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. They then said the same name at the same time. Chu Kuangren. Everyone's expression changed when they heard that name. Leng Changkong was even more stunned. What? Brother Chu is the world-renowned Chu Kuangren? Leng Changkong recalled the details of his interactions with Chu Kuangren. While he was shocked, he felt that it was reasonable. However, that did not stop him from being shocked. That's Chu Kuangren we're talking about. If one were to ask who was the most famous person in the world today, without a doubt it was Chu Kuangren. Who doesn't know who he is? Chapter 242. With the help of the spring breeze healing technique, everyone quickly recovered. Chu Kuangren stood in the air and was about to land when he suddenly sensed something and looked in the direction of the ancient battlefield. His gaze pierced through the sea of clouds and saw a white-robed figure standing on a sand dune in the ancient battlefield. That white-robed figure held a spear in his hand and wore a ferocious mask on his face. His pitch-black eyes were staring at Chu Kuangren. The white-robed general? Chu Kuangren frowned. Why did he see this person again? Then he saw the white-robed general put down his spear and bowed in his direction. It was as if he was thanking Chu Kuangren or bidding farewell to the million tormented souls. Chu Kuangren was stunned. What was he doing now? Just when he was about to chase after him and ask, the white-robed general lifted his spear and disappeared into the sandstorm. Is this guy related to the million tormented souls? Could he be from the Tranquil Kingdom? Chu Kuangren pondered. The million-strong tormented army was formed from the Tranquil Kingdom's army. Could the white-robed general be a general of the Tranquil Kingdom? Otherwise, why would the tormented souls express their gratitude to him when he released them from purgatory? The more Chu Kuangren thought about it, the more likely it seemed. However, there might be other secrets that he did not know about. Without thinking too much, he retracted his spiritual power and returned to the ground. The Horizon Wing Sect Master Wu Yi and Lung Changkong walked up to him. The Horizon Wing Sect Master greets the Sect Master. Wu Yi greets Brother Chu. The few of them bowed to him. Chu Quanren smiled. There's no need to be so polite. He then looked at Lung Changkong, only to see the latter smiling bitterly at him. Brother Chu, you've kept me in the dark for a long time. Changkong, don't be rude. The Horizon Wing Sect Master scolded him. Lung Changkong regained his senses. Since his own sect master addressed Chu Quanren as sect leader, it was against the rules for him to address Chu Quanren as a fellow Taoist. He straightened his expression. Changkong greets sect leader. There's no need to be so polite, Brother Lung, Chu Quanren said. Then the few of them began to clean up the battlefield. The Horizon Wing Sect Master could not conceal the sorrow in his eyes as he looked at the cultivators of the Horizon Wing Sect who had died in battle. They were all great men of my Horizon Wing Sect. Let this little monk help them ascend from the heavens. Wu Yi sighed and sat on the spot. A faint Buddhist light emanated from his body as he chanted a scripture. A sacred and peaceful aura spread out. After cleaning up the battlefield, Wu Yi went to look for Chu Quanren with an intense interest in his eyes. Fellow Taoist Chu, are you a Buddhist cultivator? Master, you must be joking. I'm the Black Heaven Sect leader, how could I be a Buddhist cultivator? Chu Quanren shook his head and laughed. This is impossible. Wu Yi shook his head firmly. If he was not a Buddhist cultivator, how could he have such a Buddhist light? That kind of Buddhist light is something that I, and even the abbot of my Thunder Temple, cannot compare to. That's just a cultivation technique. It can't prove anything. Without the support of the Buddhist Dharma, any Buddhist technique will not be able to display much power. Fellow Chu's body is filled with Buddhist light, indicating that he has a deep understanding of that technique. Similarly, Fellow Chu's attainments in the Buddhist Dharma should also be at the peak, Wu Yi said with certainty. From this, it was clear that Chu Quanren was a Buddhist cultivator. Chu Quanren was a little speechless. He had obtained the Tathagata rebirth scripture from the Gacha roll, so he did not need to learn any Buddhist Dharma at all. However, he did not bother to explain too much. Seeing that Chu Quanren was silent, Wu Yi was even more certain that Chu Quanren was a Buddhist cultivator with a deep understanding of Buddhism. With respect in his eyes, he said, Brother Chu, I've come to the ancient battlefield because this place has the heaviest amount of resentment. I wish to purge these tormented souls and take the opportunity to learn Buddhist Dharma. I've been stuck at this bottleneck for many years, so I hope Brother Chu can guide me. Chu Quanren was dumbfounded. Guide him? His understanding of Buddhism was limited to some famous sayings and movies that he had seen in his previous life. You're too kind, Master. My understanding of Buddhist Dharma is very shallow, so I'm afraid I'm asking the wrong person. There's no need to be humble, Brother Chu. Please enlighten me. Wu Yi was still looking at Chu Quanren expectantly. He was too eager to break through. He was a dignified Buddhist disciple, the leader of the younger generation of Buddhism, and was known as the most intelligent person in the Thunder Temple in the past 1,000 years. However, the world did not know that his Buddhist Dharma attainment had long been stuck at a bottleneck, and he could not improve at all. This troubled him greatly. For so many years, in order to break through the bottleneck of Buddhist Dharma, he had gone through all the Buddhist scriptures in the Thunder Temple and memorized them by heart. However, the results were minimal and he still could not break through. Just now, when he saw Chu Quanren's magnificent Buddhist light and the towering golden ancient Buddha, he seemed to have seen hope. Perhaps this person could help him. Chu Quanren looked at Wu Ye's stubborn look and felt a headache coming on. Forget it. I'll just say a few words. He said, see through, let go, be free. Those 6 short words set off a storm in Wu Ye's mind. See through, let go, be free. It was just 6 words, but they contained all the essence of Buddhism within them. Even a Buddhist disciple like Wu Yi found it difficult to understand the mystery within, but somehow he seemed to have grasped something. See through, let go, be free. Wu Yi kept murmuring as his gaze kept changing. What to see through, what to let go, how to be free. As Wu Yi continued to comprehend, his face gradually became a little crazed. Even the spiritual power on his body began to fluctuate violently. Not good, he's going to go berserk. Beside him, the Horizon Wing Sect Master suddenly exclaimed. He felt his scalp go numb. Those 6 short words had caused a Buddhist disciple to think so hard and even show signs of going berserk. That was too terrifying. Why don't I feel anything? Lung Changkong was puzzled. He had also heard those 6 short words from Chu Kuangren, but nothing happened to him. You're different from the Buddhist disciple. Those 6 short words contain countless essences of Buddhism. You don't know Buddhist Dharma, so naturally you won't understand the mystery within. However, the Buddhist disciple has been reading Buddhist scriptures since he was young, and his Buddhist Dharma cultivation is extremely high. That's why he's like this. The Horizon Wing sect master said in a serious tone. Lung Changkong was confused. In other words, he knew very little, which was why he was fine. The Horizon Wing sect master looked at Chu Kuangren solemnly and said with a trembling voice, I didn't expect sect leader to have such profound attainments in Buddhist Dharma. Those 6 short words contain the essence of Buddhism, causing a Buddhist disciple to be unable to comprehend them. Is it really that exaggerated? You don't have enough comprehension, so of course you don't understand. The corner of Lung Changkong's mouth twitched. Alright, this was the first time someone called him stupid and he could not refute it. Sect leader, I'm afraid the Buddhist disciple will go berserk if this goes on. What should we do now? The Horizon Wing sect master asked anxiously. He looked at Chu Kuangren, who was calm as if nothing had happened, and his heart was filled with endless admiration. The sect leader was indeed the sect leader, to be able to remain calm under such circumstances. It seems that I still have a lot to learn. The Horizon Wing sect master sighed. Chapter 243. *CKME. What's wrong with this monk disciple? Going berserk? What have I done to make this monk disciple go berserk? Chu Kuangren looked calm on the surface, but deep down he was muttering to himself. His mind was filled with question marks. Did I not just say 6 words? How could a monk disciple go berserk? If I knew this would happen, I would not have fooled him. If something happened to this monk disciple, would the Thunder Temple come after me? Chu Kuangren kept thinking of ways to salvage the situation. Although he was not afraid of the Thunder Temple, Wu Yi was the one who caused this, so he could not just watch him die. Chu Kuangren looked at Wu Yi and gritted his teeth. Keep on fooling him. One's life is created by oneself, and appearances are born from the heart. Everything in the world is an illusion. If the heart does not move, nothing will move. If the heart does not change, nothing will change. A foolish thought leads to the end of wisdom, and a wise thought leads to the birth of wisdom. All appearances are fabricated. If you see the appearance but not the appearance, you will see the Buddha. Chu Kuangren did not care if it was appropriate or not. He recited all the Buddhist scriptures that he had read in his past life. The Horizon Wing sect master was so shocked that his jaw dropped. To him, every word that Chu Kuangren said contained an incomparably exquisite Buddhist truth. What kind of realm of Buddhist understanding is he to be able to say such things? Could the sect leader really be the reincarnation of a living Buddha? Beside him, Lung Changkong looked at Wu Yi with pity. It's over, it's over. The sect leader only said 6 words earlier, and Master Wu Yi was already on the verge of going berserk. Now he said a whole bunch of them. Will Master Wu Yi self-destruct on the spot? The more Lung Changkong thought about it, the more likely it seemed. He quietly gestured to the disciples behind him, asking them to back off. As Chu Kuangren chanted a series of exquisite Buddhist mantras, Wu Ye's ferocious expression gradually became peaceful. His restless spiritual power also calmed down, and a thick Buddhist light suddenly bloomed from his body, shooting straight into the sky. He was enlightened. Under Chu Kuangren's guidance, the doubts that had troubled him for many years were solved one by one. His Buddhist Dharma realm had also risen to another level. Wu Yi, on the other hand, had only understood a little of what Chu Kuangren said. That made him admire Chu Kuangren to the extreme. Master, please accept my bow. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Wu Yi knelt before Chu Kuangren and kowtowed to him. When the surrounding cultivators saw this, they were extremely shocked. This was the monk disciple of the Thunder Temple, a young emperor of the younger generation. Yet now he was kneeling before Chu Kuangren willingly. It was unbelievable. You may rise. Chu Kuangren stood where he was and accepted Wu Ye's bow. At the same time, he breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, he managed to bluff his way through. Wu Yi stood up and said, "A teacher is a teacher. Teacher's Dharma cultivation is so high that it's unimaginable. With a few pointers, even if I've only comprehended a little bit of it, I've already been enlightened. This guidance has benefited me for the rest of my life. This kindness is greater than the heavens. From today onwards, teacher will be my teacher." Master Wu Yi, you're welcome. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Wu Yi wanted to acknowledge Chu Kuangren as his honorable teacher, but it was not because he wanted Chu Kuangren to be his honorable teacher. As long as it didn't affect him, he didn't mind. After dealing with the tormented army and cleaning up the battlefield, Chu Kuangren wondered if he should enter the ancient battlefield's core area again. After some thought, he decided to go and have a look. However, since the ancient battlefield's core area was extremely dangerous, he decided to let Lan Yu stay in Sunsoil City for the time being while he went alone to explore. Ancient battlefield. In the inner zone, Chu Kuangren passed by the Lu Kingdom's ancient city. After the tormented army broke through the seal, the enchanted boundary had disappeared, exposing the huge ancient city to the sunlight. Chu Kuangren sighed as he looked at the dilapidated walls. The Lu Kingdom used to be a powerful sage orthodoxy, and its heritage was even stronger than sage orthodoxies like the Royal Azure dynasty. However, even the powerful Lu Kingdom could not escape its fate of destruction. It was evident that there were few things in this world that could last forever. At that thought, Chu Kuangren's desire for power grew even stronger. Only by becoming stronger could he ensure the Black Heaven sect's longevity. Becoming an emperor. No, he wanted to surpass the great emperor. Chu Kuangren's eyes were filled with determination. Looking at the ancient city in front of him, he suddenly thought of something. That boundary emperor weapon was taken by Shang Han, right? Interesting. I wonder if he would dare to come after me now that he has a boundary emperor weapon? At that thought, he was suddenly looking forward to it. He was almost invincible among the younger generation, so he would be quite happy if there were a few capable cultivators among them. He would treat it as a way to relieve his boredom. At that moment, sounds of fighting suddenly came from the Lu Kingdom's royal palace. Chu Kuangren's figure moved and turned into a stream of light. In the next instant, he had arrived at the Lu Kingdom's royal palace. There was a group of cultivators who were currently fighting over something. Hand over the sage's bone. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving this place alive, a burly man shouted at a young man. The surrounding cultivators were also glaring at the young man. That young man was also stubborn and said coldly, "You want the sage's bone? Dream on. Die then." Everyone rushed forward and attacked the young man. The cultivation level of this group of people was not weak. The weakest among them was at least a battle monarch, and that young man's combat strength was at the level of a late-stage honorable. However, there were at least 3 people whose combat strength was similar to his. Being outnumbered, that young man soon fell into a disadvantageous position. When Chu Kuangren arrived, that young man was already covered in wounds. Upon hearing their conversation, Chu Kuangren fell into deep thought. Sage's bone. If I'm not mistaken, this should be the remains of the Lu Kingdom's ruler. I can't believe this remains are still here. Lu Cheng's exposure naturally attracted many adventurers. In the ancient city, Chu Kuangren had taken all the treasures and the boundary emperor weapon. Naturally, the most valuable thing was the sage's bone. These people were fighting over it. Seeing that the young man was covered in wounds, Chu Kuangren had no intention of attacking. After all, he did not know that young man. It was common for cultivators to kill each other and steal their treasures. Not long after, the young man's arm was cut off by a cultivator. That arm flew out along with his yin and yang ring. That yin and yang ring contained the sage's bone. Seeing that, the crowd immediately rushed forward. This sage's bone is mine. Scram. However, a sudden suction force suddenly landed on the broken arm. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and grabbed it before taking off the yin and yang ring. With a jolt of his spiritual thought, the Lu Kingdom's ruler's remains were indeed inside. The surface of the remains glowed with golden light and Taoist rhymes. It was much stronger than an ordinary sage's remains. Chu Kuangren concluded that the Lu Kingdom's ruler's cultivation level was probably close to a great sage when he was alive. Such a strong cultivator was very rare. Even the sage orthodoxies in the firmament star did not necessarily have a great sage behind them. This sage's remains must be worth a lot. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. When the other cultivators saw that Chu Kuangren had taken the yin and yang ring, their expressions immediately darkened. Some of them even took out their weapons and charged at him, wanting to kill him and steal his treasures. Chapter 244. Hand over the sage's bones. ****. How dare you steal something right under our noses? Dozens of cultivators charged towards Chu Kuangren with their weapons. However, Chu Kuangren stood still. The descendant's self-sword at his waist gently vibrated, and an extremely cold sword-based Taoist rhyme erupted, turning into sword qi along with spiritual power. The sword qi spread like a hurricane, and all the cultivators who charged towards Chu Kuangren were torn apart by the sword qi before they could even get within 3 meters of Chu Kuangren. When the others saw this, they sucked in a cold breath. What a powerful strength. Who is this person? Wait a minute, a beautiful ancient sword at his waist, coupled with his extraordinary temperament, could he be Chu Kuangren? When the name Chu Kuangren came out, everyone at the scene did not dare to act rashly. They all retreated to the side. Meanwhile, the previous owner of the Yin and Yang ring, the young cultivator who had his arm cut off in the battle, walked towards Chu Kuangren. Brother Chu, thank you for your help. In the future, I will definitely pay you a visit to thank you. Thank you. As he spoke, he reached out his hand. Chu Kuangren frowned. What are you doing? Brother Chu, shouldn't you return my Yin and Yang ring to me? The young man said in disbelief. This Yin and Yang ring is my trophy, why should I return it to you? After all, if Chu Kuangren had not taken the Yin and Yang ring, this young man would have died for sure. Now, this young man wanted to take the sage's remains from Chu Kuangren, which made him feel a little ridiculous. The sage's remains belonged to those who were capable. If this young man was strong enough, it would not be a problem for him to take the remains. However, he was ambitious but weak. You, the young man's expression changed and he said angrily, is the Black Heaven sect leader going to steal other people's belongings like this? You're being unreasonable. Chu Kuangren shook his head and casually struck out with his palm. An extremely violent Taoist rhyme turned into an ancient godly mountain, and with a boom the young man was blasted into a cloud of blood mist. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect Chu Kuangren to be so decisive. Is there anyone else who wants this sage's remains? Chu Kuangren calmly swept his gaze across the crowd. The strongest cultivator among them was only an honorable. In front of Chu Kuangren, who could slay a sage, they were just like ants. How would they dare to compete with him? Since the saint's skeleton has fallen into Brother Chu's hands, we naturally don't dare to fight with you. Goodbye. Haha, being able to witness fellow Taoist Chu's elegant demeanor today is also a fortunate thing. This trip was not in vain. Sect leader Chu is indeed, as the rumors say. You have the talent of a celestial being. I'm convinced. This sage's remains should be yours. I just remembered that I have something to do at home. Goodbye. What? Wife, you're about to give birth? I'll go back now. Some of them complimented Chu Kuangren, while some of them took out their communication compass and pretended to be having a conversation. After that, they left the scene one after another. These people would not dare to fight with Chu Kuangren even if they were given 10 guts. Chu Kuangren used his spiritual thought to scan the entire Lu Kingdom palace. After finding nothing, he left the ancient city and headed towards the ancient battlefield's core area. Ancient battlefield, core area. This was a place that even the sages were extremely afraid of. The density of ferocious chi here was more than 10 times that of the ancient battlefield's inner zone. High-level tormented souls could be seen almost everywhere. Chu Kuangren felt a little uncomfortable when he stepped into it. He had to channel his spiritual power to counteract the discomfort. He activated his treasure locating skill. Chu Kuangren then began to search for some treasures nearby. There's a sage weapon 300 kilometers ahead. His eyes lit up as his figure turned into a stream of light and arrived at the location of the sage weapon. The sage weapon was buried in a sand dune. Chu Kuangren lifted his arm and unleashed a surge of spiritual chi. The sand dune exploded. A crimson longsword was blasted out. Although this holy sword was covered in rust, it was still suffused with strands of sharp sword chi, causing others to feel fear at the sight of it. Chu Kuangren held the sacred sword and channeled his spiritual power into it. Instantly, the rust on the sacred sword peeled off, revealing a bright red blade. 2 small words were engraved on the blade's edge. Blood execution. Sacred sword blood execution. Chu Kuangren smiled in satisfaction as he tossed the sacred sword into the sacred emerald sword case to be nurtured. Then he continued to search the core area. Although this place was much more dangerous than the inner zone and the outer zone, there were many opportunities of fortune as well. In just half a day, Chu Kuangren had already obtained 2 sage weapons and 7 to 8 supreme weapons. This ancient battlefield is a natural treasure trove, Chu Kuangren exclaimed. Suddenly, a strange fluctuation came from his yin and yang ring. Puzzled, he took out a wooden box and opened it. What he saw was the source of ferocious chi rumbling inside. What's going on? Just as Chu Kuangren was puzzled, he suddenly felt an extremely violent murderous intent coming from behind him. His expression changed slightly as he unsheathed the long sword at his waist. A sword ray slashed towards his back. The sword ray collided with a saber ray that was condensed from ferocious chi. It exploded in the void and set off a terrifying shockwave. Even Chu Kuangren could not help but take a few steps back. This energy belongs to a sage. He sensed that the ferocious qi contained a surge of sage Taoist rhyme. Not far away, a tormented soul with a black longsword in its hand and a body shrouded in black ferocious qi was staring at him. Kill, kill, give me the innate ferocious qi, as the tormented soul murmured. The ferocious qi on its body became denser and denser. Then it charged towards Chu Kuangren. With a swing of its long sword, the pitch-black sword ray almost covered all the light in the world. A ferocious and domineering Taoist rhyme locked onto Chu Kuangren. Facing a tormented soul with the combat strength of a sage, Chu Kuangren did not dare to be careless. He swung his descendant self-sword and a majestic purple sword ray shot out. The collision of the two energies caused the void to rumble again. 4 Seasons Sword Formation. Chu Kuangren took out the sacred emerald sword case. One by one, the long swords flew out and quickly formed into an incredibly mysterious 4 Seasons sword formation. Within the sword formation, the 4 seasons alternated and the power of nature manifestation erupted. Compared to a year ago, Chu Kuangren's current cultivation level had reached the late-stage honorable realm. He was only a step away from becoming an honorable. The sword formation that he had cast was so powerful that it killed the sage-level tormented soul in just a dozen breaths' time. Accompanied by a piercing howl, the sage-level tormented soul turned into smoke and dissipated, leaving behind only a black mist. Another source of ferocious qi. Chu Kuangren frowned as he grabbed the source of ferocious qi in his hand. Compared to the source of ferocious qi that he obtained from purging the million-strong tormented army, this source of ferocious qi was much smaller. As if he had a stroke of luck, he placed this source of ferocious qi into the wooden box and merged it with another source of ferocious qi. In an instant, that source of ferocious qi flew into Chu Kuangren's body. Then a message exploded in his mind. Infallible tormented physique. It's the infallible tormented physique, one of the top 10 physiques among the 3,000 physiques. Chu Kuangren was surprised. It turned out that this source of ferocious qi had another name. The innate ferocious qi. This innate ferocious qi had many magical uses, and the most powerful one was that it could allow one to cultivate the infallible tormented physique. Moreover, it was the kind of infallible tormented physique that could be directly mastered. Once such a physique was mastered, even a sage could be killed easily. Chapter 245. However, I've only integrated 2 surges of innate ferocious qi, which is only the initial stage of the infallible tormented physique. My progress is about 3%, so I still have a long way to go before I can achieve full mastery, Chu Kuangren murmured. However, he was not in a hurry. Based on the information contained in the innate ferocious qi, the ancient battlefield's core area had nurtured many surges of innate ferocious qi over the years. As long as he slowly collected them, he could eventually achieve full mastery of the infallible tormented physique. Of course, other than him, the tormented souls in the core area were also interested in the innate ferocious qi. They were tormented souls, so the innate ferocious qi was extremely useful to them. It could even help them develop spiritual intelligence. Chu Kuangren could not help but think of the white-robed general. Could he be a tormented soul that had developed spiritual intelligence? He shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Then he continued to search the ancient battlefield's core area, using his treasure locating skill to collect innate ferocious qi. The treasure locating skill could not find some of the innate ferocious qi that had already been integrated, but there were still ownerless innate ferocious qi in the ancient battlefield. Chu Kuangren spent the next 3 days in the ancient battlefield's core area, and he managed to collect a few surges of innate ferocious qi. However, none of them were as concentrated as the one he obtained when he purified the million-strong tormented army. Nevertheless, he managed to push his infallible tormented physique to 5%, increasing his combat strength. Another surge of innate ferocious qi. Using his treasure locating skill, Chu Kuangren found a surge of innate ferocious qi 3,000 kilometers away from him, so he immediately rushed over. However, before he could get close, he sensed a terrifying energy fluctuation. Someone was fighting at the location of the innate ferocious qi. He slowed down, hid his aura, and cautiously approached. This was the ancient battlefield's core area, where danger lurked everywhere. The energy fluctuation he sensed was definitely at the level of a sage. He did not dare to be too conspicuous in this place. When he got closer to the center of the energy fluctuation, he noticed 2 figures fighting. Terrifying ferocious qi that contained sage Taoist rhymes were violently clashing against each other, causing the void to tremble. When he looked closer, He realized that one of the two figures was an old man in a black robe, and the other was a huge ape with red eyes and black fur all over its body. Humph, you're just a mindless, tormented soul. Even if you have the combat strength of a sage, how can you fight me? The black-robed old man harumphed coldly and punched out. A terrifying Taoist rhyme erupted from his skinny body, mixing with the baleful aura to form a gigantic fist that smashed the ape into the ground. Chu Kuangren's heart skipped a beat as he witnessed this scene from the shadows. This black-robed old man was also a tormented soul. However, he possessed intelligence. How many strands of innate ferocious qi had he fused with? If he could absorb the innate ferocious qi in his body, then his infallible tormented body would definitely make great progress. Thinking of this, he secretly compared the strength of both sides. Sages were divided into ordinary sages, great sages and king sages. Even within the same realm there were still differences in strength. Therefore the sages roughly divided each realm into 7 steps. First step sage, second step sage. First step great sage, second step great sage. The first step was the most ordinary while the 7th step was the most powerful. Based on Chu Kuangren's senses, this black-robed old man's combat strength was roughly equivalent to a 3-step sage, which was slightly stronger than the Murong clan sage. However, he was able to kill the saint of the Murong clan a year ago. What more a year later? I can win. Chu Kuangren thought to himself. After the black-robed old man killed the ape-tormented soul and obtained the innate ferocious qi, Chu Kuangren made his move. He took out the sacred emerald sword case and 365 swords flew out. What? The black-robed old man was shocked. He did not expect to be ambushed so suddenly. Faced with a 4-season sword formation that was filled with majestic sword qi and Taoist rhymes, the black-robed old man hurriedly unleashed a punch with his ferocious qi. The black fist landed on the sword formation and shattered the sword qi. However, the swords scattered in all directions and surrounded the black-robed old man. D*MN. The energy of this sword formation is very strong. The black-robed old man instantly determined that he was no match for this sword formation, so he immediately released a wisp of black ferocious qi from his fingertip. Before the sword formation was fully formed, he slipped out of the gap and flew far away. He then looked at the sword formation's owner. When he saw the owner's face, not only was he shocked by his appearance, but he was also shocked by his identity. This energy. Is it a living person? A living person has entered the ancient battlefield's core area, and his cultivation level is only at the honorable realm. The black-robed old man found it hard to believe. An honorable could activate a sword formation of this level and enter the ancient battlefield's core area. Young lad, this must be your first time in the core area. Do you know that there are 3 beings in the core area that you must not provoke? My master is one of them, so you better kill. Before the black-robed old man could finish his sentence, Chu Kuangren had already activated the 4-season sword formation and unleashed its most terrifying sword-based Taoist rhyme. Chu Kuangren could tell that the black-robed old man was trying to buy time, although he did not know when he had called for backup. However, given the current situation, he needed to end this battle quickly. The 4-season sword formation unleashed its full power, and the terrifying and mysterious sword qi suppressed the black-robed old man within a few breaths. D*MN. Young lad, if you dare to kill me, I will definitely. The black-robed old man's eyes were filled with fear. The power of this sword formation was more terrifying than he had imagined. Before he could finish his sentence, the 4 seasons within the sword formation began to rotate, and the sun and moon alternated. The power of nature then transformed into a multicolored greatsword that smashed down. With a boom, the terrifying sword qi swept out, and the black-robed old man was instantly smashed into pieces by the greatsword. When the sword qi dissipated, Chu Kuangren rushed into the sword formation and collected the remaining innate ferocious qi in the air. The concentration of the innate ferocious qi was more than what he had collected in the past few days. He estimated that it could at least boost his infallible tormented physique to about 10%. He kept the innate ferocious qi and was about to leave. But at this moment, an incomparably terrifying aura immediately locked onto him, and a black finger stretched across the sky. The surging ferocious qi swept through the clouds and shook the heavens and earth. Even Chu Kuangren could not help but be shocked by this attack. The Descendant Self-Sword was unsheathed from his waist, and the 6 supreme foundation levels within his body radiated with a dazzling divine light. The golden jade body activated, the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart, and the ferocious qi from the infallible tormented physique were activated. The purple sword ray was boundless, and it contained a surge of Emperor's aura. The sword collided with the giant finger that was coming at him. The two energies entangled and collided, forming a terrifying shockwave that even Chu Kuangren could not help but be pushed back hundreds of feet. His expression was extremely solemn. The owner of that giant finger was definitely the strongest enemy he had ever encountered. He took out a jade talisman and was ready to crush it. That was one of the prizes he had obtained in the past year. It was called the Great Shift Talisman, which contained spatial energy and could instantly teleport him hundreds of thousands of miles away. That was also one of the reasons why he dared to enter the core area. Even if he encountered any danger that he could not resist, he could still leave at any time. Chapter 246. Chu Kuangren stared into the distance. A 3-meter-tall figure stepped through the air, his body emanating a murderous aura that was many times stronger than the black-robed elders. It was a middle-aged man with a dignified face. His 3-meter-tall body made him look like a giant. Coupled with his terrifying ferocious chi, Chu Kuangren felt an immense pressure that he had never experienced before. Runes of the Great Tao circulated in his eyes as the Eye of Revelation activated. Giant Tormented Sage Monarch, one of the 3 kings of the ancient battlefield. He's a tormented spirit formed from the combination of the ancient battlefield's baleful aura and the resentment of the sages when they died. He contains a large amount of innate baleful aura, 10 times more than ours. 10 times. If he absorbed 10 times the innate ferocious chi, he could push his infallible tormented body to more than 50%. Of course, while his thoughts were plentiful, reality was harsh. His opponent was a Saint King, and with his meager cultivation level, he was no match for him. I can't believe there's a sage ruler in the ancient battlefield. What a surprise, Chu Kuangren muttered. However, after giving it some thought, it made sense. After all, this was the ancient battlefield, one of the 10 great forbidden areas of Firmament Star. It wouldn't be too much to have any existences, right? Kid, as a venerable, it's not easy for you to have such strength. I'm afraid you're also a famous figure in the outside world. Giant Fiend Sage Emperor Chu Kuangren said. Then murderous intent shot out from his eyes. But this is the ancient battlefield. You killed my subordinates and stole my innate ferocious chi. Based on these 2 points, no one in this world can save you. After saying that, he raised his hand, and a murderous aura circulated on his fingertips. An incomparably terrifying sage Taoist rhyme circulated. Chu Kuangren judged that he might not be able to withstand that finger attack. If he took it head-on, he could only rely on his immortal body to recover. Just as he was about to crush the greater teleportation talisman and leave, a black spear suddenly flew towards him like a bolt of lightning. That spear had locked onto Giant Torment Sage King. Giant Tormented Sage's expression froze, and his eyes were filled with fear. The finger that was supposed to be aimed at Chu Kuangren landed on the spear instead. With a boom, a terrifying power erupted. The void was almost distorted. The Sage King-level Taoist rhyme collided with each other, and it was incomparably terrifying. Under this impact, Giant Torment Sage Monarch's huge body was pushed back a few steps, and the black spear was sent flying. In the end, it was caught by a fair arm. Looking towards the direction of the spear, Chu Kuangren saw a familiar figure. He was dressed in a long white robe and his face was covered by a mask, revealing only a pair of deep pitch-black eyes that were devoid of any emotion. This person was the legend of the ancient battlefield, the white-robed general. Chu Kuangren activated his Eye of Revelation when he saw this person again. Baiyan, the former general of the Tranquil Kingdom, one of the 3 kings of the ancient battlefield, also known as the White-Robed General, a legend passed down by the adventurers. Due to the innate ferocious aura that entered his physical body after his death, he's now a living dead that's somewhere between a tormented soul and a human. The innate malevolent chi in his body is 10 times stronger than mine. A series of messages came in. Some of Chu Kuangren's doubts were finally answered. No wonder this person saluted me after I released the millions of tormented souls. It turned out that this person was really a general of the Yin Kingdom. White-Robed General, why did you attack? Giant Torment Sage Ruler questioned the White-Robed General with fear in his eyes. Among the 3 kings of the ancient battlefield, the White-Robed General was the weakest. He was alone, but no one dared to look down on him. The other 2 kings were even more fearful of him. This person was the most unique existence among the 3 kings. He was neither a tormented soul nor a human, but somewhere in between. His combat strength was terrifying. You can't kill this person, the White-Robed General said. His voice was very magnetic with a hint of coldness. What? Giant Torment Sage Ruler was a little surprised. The white-robed general had been wandering around the ancient battlefield for many years. Apart from fighting for innate ferocious chi, he had never taken the initiative to intervene in anything. The other two sage rulers also turned a blind eye to this, but they did not expect the white-robed general to attack for Chu Kuangren today. "I owe him a favor," the white-robed general said. Giant Torment Sage Ruler was stunned. After all, the white-robed general was no weaker than him. What could Chu Kuangren have done for him to be indebted to him? "You've released the souls of my soldiers and I'm deeply grateful for that. Take this with you. Once you're out of the core area, they won't be able to do anything to you." The white-robed general took out a black crystal and said. Giant Torment Sage Ruler's eyes widened when he saw that black crystal. That's an innate ferocious crystal. "I can't believe you have an innate ferocious crystal. White-robed general, are you crazy? How can you give something like this to an honorable?" Giant Torment Sage Ruler could not control his emotions and roared. He looked at the innate ferocious crystal with greed in his eyes. The fact that a sage ruler would be so moved showed how precious this innate ferocious crystal was. Chu Kuangren looked at the white-robed general in surprise before he kept the innate ferocious enchantment. The moment he received the innate ferocious crystal, his expression froze. He finally understood why the giant torment sage ruler would lose his composure. The innate ferocious chi contained within the innate ferocious crystal. It was comparable to the total amount in giant torment sage ruler's body. "One day. Wait for me for a day once you're out of the core area. If I don't find you within a day, you may leave on your own," the white-robed general said. "All right." Chu Kuangren nodded. After that, he turned into a stream of light and flew into the distance. Not long after he left, an incredibly terrifying aura erupted from behind him. Two surges of energy that could shake half of the ancient battlefield collided, and it was as if the heavens and earth were about to shatter. Chu Kuangren cast the phantom light strike at an extremely fast speed. Like a stream of light, he quickly headed out of the core area. "I'm finally out." Ancient battlefield, inner zone. Chu Kuangren had just left the core area. He stopped at the edge of the core area and peered inside. Countless ferocious tormented souls were roaring at him. These were the tormented souls that the giant torment sage ruler had sent to hunt him down. There were even a few sage-level existences among them. If it were not for his powerful strength and his phantom light strike, which specialized in speed, he would have been torn to shreds by these tormented souls. Although he would recover, it was still very painful. As expected, these tormented souls can't leave the core area. Chu Kuangren looked at the tormented souls that could only roar at him from afar. Any one of these tormented souls in the inner zone would be at the level of the inner zone's 10 tormented. Unfortunately, they were trapped in the core area. There seems to be some kind of restriction. Chu Kuangren's interest was piqued, and he began to study why these tormented souls could not leave the core area. Gradually he discovered something. The ferocious chi on these tormented souls was connected to the earth chi in the core area. The stronger the ferocious chi, the closer the connection to the earth chi. It was because of this connection that they could not leave the core area. They were like earthbound souls. The tormented souls in the inner zone and the outer zone don't have this characteristic. It seems like it's because of the Sage War that the Eternal Sage Ruler mentioned. That Sage War set up a huge formation. It must be that formation that changed the characteristics of the ancient battlefield's core area's earth chi. Chu Kuangren thought to himself. Chapter 247. Ancient Battlefield, Inner Circle. Chu Kuangren fiddled with a black crystal in his hand. This crystal was irregularly shaped, and it contained a dense amount of innate ferocious chi. It was more than 10 times more than the amount in Chu Kuangren's body. What a treasure! Chu Kuangren smirked. If he could absorb the innate ferocious crystal, he would be able to push his infallible tormented body to the greater success stage and above. At that time, the combat power that he would be able to unleash would be extremely terrifying. Coupled with other techniques, ordinary sages would not be a match for him at all. However, there was still a huge gap between them and the likes of Giant Torment Sage King. Even though his innate ferocious aura was similar to Giant Fiend Sage Monarch's, after merging with the innate ferocious crystal, Giant Fiend Sage Monarch had spent countless years in the ancient battlefield and absorbed countless ferocious auras. It wasn't as simple as possessing innate ferocious aura. Why isn't the white-robed general out yet? Chu Kuangren murmured as he looked at the ancient battlefield's core area. At this moment, a strong wave of murderous aura came from behind him. A saber light that was as fast as a meteor suddenly swept over. Chu Kuangren retaliated with a backhand slap and activated the Human Mountain Stamp. A violent surge of Human Mountain energy forcefully shattered the saber ray. He looked into the distance and saw a tormented soul wielding a long saber flying towards him. It was one of the inner zone's 10 tormented, the saber wielder. Other than the wielder saber, there was also a tormented spirit in the shape of a tiger and a huge black worm that was squirming on the ground like a small hill. They were the tiger fiend and insect fiend of the inner zone's 10 ferocious beasts. Other than that, there were also a large number of high-level tormented souls. Chu Kuangren was stunned for a moment. Why are there so many tormented souls? Suddenly, he came back to his senses and looked at the innate ferocious crystal in his hand. Was it attracted by the innate ferocious crystal? The innate ferocious chi was undoubtedly a great opportunity for tormented souls, as it could even help them develop sentience. Not to mention this crystal that contained a strong innate ferocious aura. He guessed that all the tormented souls in the inner zone were rushing towards him. Chu Kuangren tossed the innate ferocious crystal into the air twice before he kept it into his yin and yang ring. He smiled and said, "How dare a bunch of puny fiends act so presumptuously?" Even the sage-level tormented souls in the core zone could not do anything to him, let alone the tormented souls in the inner zone. The anomaly of the tormented souls in the inner circle had attracted the attention of countless adventurers, especially since they had just experienced the terrifying scene of the million-strong tormented army. Now that he saw the tormented souls acting strangely, he could not help but feel a little terrified. What's going on? Have these tormented souls gone mad? It can't be. Don't tell me they're going to be like the million-strong tormented army and charge out of the ancient battlefield to wreak havoc on the world? The ancient battlefield has been quiet for so many years. It's only been a few days. Why are there so many strange occurrences? Something's not right. Look, the tormented souls are heading towards the ancient battlefield's core area. What's going on? Let's go take a look. Some cultivators pondered for a moment, and then they couldn't restrain their curiosity and intended to head over to see exactly what had caused the baneful spirits to move. It didn't take long for them to approach the central area. All those who dared to come here possessed considerable strength, and the weakest amongst them was at the Exalt realm. Look, there's a person over there. Someone in the crowd exclaimed. A white dot appeared in their vision, and that white dot was the target of countless tormented souls. That white dot belonged to a person. It was a man dressed in a white, wide-sleeved robe with a magnificent long sword hanging from his waist. His aura was ethereal and otherworldly. It's Chu Kuangren. Someone in the crowd recognized Chu Kuangren. Everyone looked at him in surprise. Why is he here? Wait a minute, he seems to be the target of these tormented souls. What did he do to make so many tormented souls target him? Look, those are the tormented saber tormented, tormented insect tormented, tormented giant demonic tormented, and a few others from the inner zone's 10 tormented. I can't believe these terrifying existences are here. Can Chu Kuangren handle them all by himself? The tormented souls had gathered in groups, and there were even countless high-level tormented souls among them. Almost all of the inner zone's 10 tormented were present as well. Their ferocious chi swept across the area, and their formation was not any weaker than the million-strong tormented army from before. Compared to them, Chu Kuangren seemed very small and insignificant. Don't you guys forget that he's Chu Kuangren? One of the cultivators took a deep breath and said in a serious tone. The others fell silent upon hearing that. If it were any other cultivator standing in front of these tormented souls, or even if it were an army of tens of thousands of cultivators, they would not think that they had any chance of winning. However, Chu Kuangren was different. He alone could defeat an army of tens of thousands. Everyone stared at Chu Kuangren wanting to see how he would deal with them. However, he did something that shocked everyone. He gently raised his hand, and the sand on the ground floated up before him before it condensed into a chair. Just like that, Chu Kuangren leisurely sat on the chair as the countless tormented souls approached him. His action shocked many of the cultivators at the scene. After all, they were already so frightened by the countless tormented souls' ferocious chi that their faces turned pale just by looking at them. However, Chu Kuangren remained so calm even when facing these tormented souls. He's actually sitting down? Some of them said in disbelief. Some of them rubbed their eyes, wondering if they were hallucinating. At that moment, something even more shocking happened. Chu Kuangren sat on the sand chair and snapped his fingers. Then, surges of sword chi emerged from his body and turned into clones. These clones were formed from sword chi and looked exactly like Chu Kuangren. Sword chi and Taoist rhymes surrounded their bodies. What technique is this? Oh my god, there are so many clones. Everyone was in disbelief. However, the scene in front of them was very real. Chu Kuangren sat on the sand chair and cast the sword chi transformation technique to form 200 clones that charged towards the countless tormented souls in front of him. These 200 sword chi clones formed a terrifying sword chi defensive line. For a moment, not a single tormented soul could break through it. I'm waiting for someone anyway, so I might as well play with you guys. Chu Kuangren sat on the sand chair and crossed his legs as he said. Perhaps he felt that the 200 sword chi clones were not that powerful. He took out the sacred emerald sword case and threw out one long sword after another. With the addition of the sword chi clones and the treasured swords, Chu Kuangren's combat strength increased tremendously. In the air, the cultivators who had just arrived were dumbfounded. It was their first time witnessing a battle like this. Chu Kuangren was sitting comfortably while he sent out hundreds of sword chi clones to sweep the battlefield. So this is the peerless Chu Kuangren? What kind of terrifying strength is this? By the heavens, I thought one of his sword chi clones could easily kill me. I can't believe he can create hundreds of them. Is he still human? Everyone was dumbfounded. Roar. One of the inner zone 10 tormented, the tormented saber wielder, let out a furious roar and charged towards Chu Kuangren. Not only the tormented saber wielder, but the other inner zone 10 tormented had also broken through the defensive line. After all, there was a limit to the strength of 200 sword chi clones, no matter how strong they were. The inner zone 10 tormented were honorable supremes after all. Is Chu Kuangren's real body going to attack? I think so. With the tormented saber wielder as the leader, the inner zone 10 tormented charged towards Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren's body moved a little on the sand chair. Just when everyone thought he was going to get up to fight the inner zone 10 tormented, they saw that he was still sitting there. All he did was move his butt a little. He slowly raised his right hand and gently pressed it towards the inner zone 10 tormented. In the void, a terrifying spiritual power mixed with earth chi formed a majestic godly mountain that suddenly pressed down on the tormented saber wielder and the other inner zone 10 tormented. Boom. The ground erupted with a loud explosion and shook. Chapter 248. Boom. A terrifying explosion erupted from the ground. The entire ground shook as the majestic godly mountain descended from the sky, its violent energy stirring up a sandstorm. When the godly mountain dissipated, the tormented saber wielder, tormented insect, and the other inner zone 10 tormented had already turned into smoke. They had all been destroyed by Chu Kuangren with a single slap. Everyone gulped. What else could they say when they were destroyed with a single slap? Those are the inner zone 10 tormented. Even an honorable supreme would not dare to underestimate them, yet they were destroyed with a single slap? *CK, his strength is too terrifying. This guy is a monster. None of the known sage orthodoxy sect leaders have the same combat strength as Chu Kuangren, right? *, no wonder he's able to kill a sage. Chu Kuangren yawned as he sat on the sand chair. Even if it was to kill time, these tormented souls were just too weak. He could not even feel the slightest bit of interest in them. Suddenly, he felt a familiar ferocious chi fluctuation behind him and smirked. Someone interesting is here. He slowly got up. Then, a surge of compassionate Taoist rhyme emanated from his body, and a Buddhist light surged out from his body in all directions. Amidst the Buddhist light, a giant golden Buddha stood between the heavens and the earth. In an instant, golden lotuses sprouted from the ground, and Sanskrit chants filled the void. Countless tormented souls melted under the Buddhist light like snow under the scorching sun. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared without a trace. The crowd of cultivators was shocked when they saw this. Some of them had seen the Tathagata rebirth mantra before, but they were still shocked when they saw this majestic ancient Buddha again. How did he create this Buddha? It's too powerful. This technique is too terrifying. The Thunder Temple is the most respected Buddhist sect in the Azure Dragon domain, but even they do not have such a terrifying technique. There's an emperor's aura. This is an emperor technique. Where did this guy get so many powerful cultivation techniques from? I've never heard of it in the Black Heaven sect before. In the Firmament Star, sage ruler techniques were already very rare. Chu Kuangren, on the other hand, had one emperor technique after another. How were the other cultivators supposed to survive? Look, someone is coming out from the core region. Everyone was immersed in the shock brought about by the Tathagata rebirth mantra. At this moment, someone cried out in surprise, pulling everyone back from their thoughts and looking in the direction of the core region. Over there really was a figure wearing a white robe and holding a spear in his hand. His face was covered with a mask as he walked over. The core zone had always been the most dangerous place in the ancient battlefield, but no one had ever seen anyone walk out of it. Today was the first time he had done so. Not only that, but the person who walked out shocked everyone because they were all too familiar with this person's appearance. White robe, long spear, face armor. Wasn't this the white robe general that the adventurers had been talking about? The white robe general. It's the white robe general. Oh my god, this ghost story is real. There really are white robe generals in this world. Everyone exclaimed endlessly with shock, and they stared fixedly at the white robe general. After Chu Kuangren had used the Tathagata rebirth mantra to eliminate all the tormented souls, he retracted his Buddhist light and turned to look at the white robe general. He smiled faintly, and with a wave of his hand, a sand chair appeared in front of him. "Senior, please take a seat." The white robe general was the Tranquil Kingdom's general from tens of thousands of years ago, and his strength was comparable to a sage ruler. Hence, it was not wrong to address him as senior. The white robe general nodded slightly and sat in front of Chu Kuangren. The crowd of cultivators was even more dumbfounded when they saw the two of them sitting together. They could not understand how Chu Kuangren and the white robe general got to know each other. "Senior, did you save me because of the million-strong tormented army?" Chu Kuangren asked directly after he took his seat. Although he already knew the answer, he still asked anyway. After all, there was no better way to start a conversation than this. "That's right." The white robe general nodded. "I used to be their general. Tens of thousands of years ago, the Tranquil Kingdom and the Lu Kingdom went to war. In order to win, the Tranquil Kingdom's king did not hesitate to steal the source of ferocious qi. Through a sacrificial ritual, he turned a million-strong army into tormented souls. I tried to stop him, but I failed." "Then how did you end up like this?" "I was sentenced to death by the Tranquil Kingdom's king because of this, but my body was brought here by the Lu Kingdom's princess. She used some kind of secret technique to attract the source of ferocious qi into my body in an attempt to resurrect me. However, even though my consciousness was restored, my body could not move. It was only 1,000 years later that I ended up like this." "It was the Lu Kingdom's princess who saved you." "Yes, she's my lover." Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up when he heard that. He immediately imagined a tragic love story of a general falling in love with the enemy kingdom's princess. "After I awakened, I've been absorbing ferocious qi in the core area for almost 1,000 years. That's why I'm connected to the earth qi here. Although I'm not trapped here like the other tormented souls, I can't be too far away. All these years I've been wandering around this ancient battlefield, trying to find the million-strong tormented army, but to no avail. It was only when the Lu Kingdom reappeared a few days ago that I sensed something. After that, I saw you purging them," the white robe general said. "I see. What about this then?" Chu Kuangren took out the innate ferocious crystal. "You've merged with the source of ferocious qi, which is the innate ferocious qi, and formed the infallible tormented physique. This innate ferocious crystal will be of great use to you. This is a thank you gift for purging the army. In that case, it would be impolite of me to reject it." Chu Kuangren had no intention of rejecting it. "Besides that, I have one more thing that I need your help with." "Please do tell, senior. I can sense that my bloodline is still alive. I hope you can help me find them and take care of them," the white robe general said. "Senior, if your bloodline is still alive, could it be that the princess isn't dead?" "She's probably dead. Otherwise she would have come looking for me." At the mention of that, a hint of sorrow seeped out of the white robe general's body that was filled with ferocious qi. "Although she's dead, I can't rule out the possibility that she escaped before the Lu Kingdom was destroyed, leaving behind our bloodline. Otherwise, without the Lu clan's ancient sword, how could anyone break through the enchanted boundary of the Lu Kingdom?" "The Lu clan's ancient sword?" "That's right. The Lu clan's ancient sword is required to enter the enchanted boundary of the Lu Kingdom, and only the Lu Kingdom's royal family owns this ancient sword. Hence, if the royal family didn't survive that war, how could the Lu clan's ancient sword still be around? It seems that Shang Han and the others entered the Lu Kingdom through the Lu clan's ancient sword. So where did they get the Lu clan's ancient sword from?" Chu Kuangren thought to himself. He did not agree to the white robe general's request right away. After all, the chances of finding a bloodline in this vast sea of people were too slim. "If you help me find my bloodline, I'll help you hunt tormented souls in the ancient battlefield and collect the innate ferocious qi," the white robe general said. Ahem, actually, since you've helped me so much, it's only natural for me to do something for you. Just leave the search for your bloodline to me, Chu Kuangren said with a smile. All right then. The white-robed general took out a jade pendant and handed it to Chu Kuangren. This is a token of love between me and the princess. If it's my bloodline, this jade pendant will react. Perhaps it can help you. Chu Kuangren took the jade pendant. I'll do my best. Farewell. The white-robed general got up and walked towards the core area behind him. Tormented souls gave way wherever he went. It was obvious that they were very afraid of the white-robed general. Chapter 249. Chu Kuangren kept the jade pendant and left the ancient battlefield. Along the way he did not encounter any tormented souls. It was obvious that most of the tormented souls were attracted by the innate ferocious crystal and were destroyed by him. However, as long as the ancient battlefield's resentment and ferocious qi did not dissipate, the tormented souls would be endless. All it would take was some time for them to reform. Master, you're back. Back at Sunsoil City, Lan Yu's eyes lit up when he saw Chu Kuangren. Yes. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. In the next few days he began to refine the innate ferocious crystal. This item was extraordinary as it contained an extremely dense amount of innate ferocious qi. After refining it, his infallible tormented physique had made great progress. On this day, he had completely refined the innate ferocious crystal. A terrifying ferocious qi erupted from his body and rushed into the sky. Its domineering aura swept across half of Sunsoil City. All the cultivators were shocked when they sensed the ferocious qi. What a terrifying ferocious qi. There's no resentment from the tormented souls in this ferocious qi. Is not a tormented soul not a tormented soul? Then what kind of existence could it be? I've never seen such a pure ferocious qi in the ancient battlefield for so many years. Where did it come from? The ferocious qi swept across the sky and waves of violent Taoist rhymes circulated in the void. It was as if everyone could hear a roar from the ancient times that was filled with boundless ferocious qi and battle intent. After a while, the phenomenon slowly dissipated. Inside the inn, Chu Kuangren opened his eyes and sensed the endless ferocious qi that was surging within his body. He smiled in satisfaction. 60%. Now that my infallible tormented physique has reached 60% completion, even if I don't use any other techniques, this strength alone is enough to fight a sage. As expected of the top 10 Taoist physiques among the 3,000 physiques, Chu Kuangren murmured. Not counting his other trump cards, he now had 3 Taoist physiques: the golden jade body, the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart, and the infallible tormented physique. It was a terrifying thing for a person to have 3 Taoist physiques, especially the last 2 which were supreme Taoist physiques. In addition, he had an incomplete 10,000 techniques returned to 1 Tao physique. With just these 3.5 Taoist physiques, he might not be invincible in the world, but among the younger generation in the firmament star, no one could match him. This won't do. I'm now the Black Heaven sect leader, and my status is much higher than those kids. Yet, I keep thinking about comparing myself to the younger generation. TSK, I still need to improve my mindset. Chu Kuangren smiled. No one in the younger generation could compare to him. His goal should be to become a saint. Let's start today's lottery draw. Congratulations. You have obtained the Starlight Skill Manual, Exorcist Palm. Extract. Although a starlight technique was not essential to Chu Kuangren, it was not a bad thing for him to learn more about it. After retrieving the technique, Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised. Just like the Tathagata rebirth mantra, the giant palm of exorcism was also a Buddhist technique. Looks like I can no longer remove the label of a Buddhist cultivator. Chu Kuangren smiled and shook his head. Lan Yu, pack up. We're leaving. Chu Kuangren said to Lan Yu. He was almost done exploring the ancient battlefield, and he had obtained all the opportunities of fortune he wanted. The infallible tormented physique was probably the biggest opportunity of fortune in the ancient battlefield. All right. Lan Yu nodded. Both of them planned to leave. However, they bumped into Wu Yi at the entrance. Teacher. Wu Yi bowed to Chu Kuangren. Yes, Master Wu Yi. I'm afraid we can't exchange Buddhist techniques with you today. We'll be leaving now, Chu Kuangren said. Leaving? Where are you going, teacher? Just for a walk. Wu Yi's eyes lit up. Teacher, it's like this. The abbot sent me a message, asking me to invite you to the Thunder Sound Temple for a chat. If you don't mind, could you come with me to the temple? Master Hui Xen invited me? Hui Xen was the current abbot of the Thunder Temple. Chu Kuangren pondered for a while and said, Sure. Since he had nothing better to do, he might as well visit the largest Buddhist sacred ground in the Azure Dragon domain. He heard that the vegetarian food at the Thunder Temple was pretty good. They left the ancient battlefield. Chu Kuangren, Lan Yu, and Wu Yi headed to the Thunder Temple. The Thunder Temple was quite a distance away from the ancient battlefield. To speed up, Chu Kuangren took out the elusive mirage. Wu Yi could not help but gulp when he saw the gigantic elusive mirage in front of him. Was the Black Heaven sect leader this grand? In less than a day, the few of them arrived at the Thunder Temple. A few novice monks were sweeping the fallen leaves in front of the mountain entrance. Suddenly the sky turned dark. It's dark. Is it going to rain? One of the novice monks looked up at the sky. Then he was shocked. Buddha above, what is this? High up in the sky, the gigantic black elusive mirage soared into the sky, blocking the sunlight with an unparalleled sense of oppression. Then the elusive mirage turned into a dot of light and disappeared. 3 figures descended from the sky. Senior brother Wu Yi. The novice monk saw Wu Yi among the 3 and greeted him. At that moment, inside the Thunder Temple. In a temple hall, the current abbot of the Thunder Temple, Master Huixin, suddenly opened his eyes and smiled. We have a guest. He got up, put on his robe and walked out the door. Under Wu Ye's lead, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu entered the Thunder Temple and looked at the scenery around them with great interest. The ancient temple was located in the middle of the mountain. It was peaceful and tranquil. This is the back mountain of the Thunder Temple where we usually cultivate. On the other side is the Mahavira Hall and many other temples. It's where worshippers visit. Wu Yi explained to Chu Kuangren. Other than worshippers, very few people came to the Thunder Temple, let alone the back mountain where cultivators gathered. Many monks looked at Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu curiously. Who are these 2 people? They're too good-looking. Could it be that they're bodhisattvas? Amitabha. The back mountain of the Buddhist sect is a place for cultivation. How can we let a lady in? I recognize her. She's the young Emperor Lan Yu. Young Emperor? Then it's fine. The one beside her is the Black Heaven sect leader, Chu Kuangren. Why is he here? The monks whispered among themselves. Just then, an old monk in a golden robe walked out and bowed slightly at Chu Kuangren. The Black Heaven sect leader has come to visit personally. I apologize for not being able to welcome you at the door. You're welcome, Master. Wu Yi said that you invited me here. Is there anything I can help you with? Chu Kuangren smiled. We'll talk about this later. Brother Chu, you've come from afar, so I've already ordered someone to prepare a vegetarian meal. We can talk about it after we're done. That's fine too. I've heard that your temple's vegetarian meal is the best in the world. I'll have to try it later. Chu Kuangren smiled. The vegetarian food of the Thunder Sound Temple was indeed extraordinary. They used spiritual rice that contained spiritual energy, and the condiments were spiritual herbs. Although it looked like they were vegetarian, it was actually very nutritious. Furthermore, the flavor was excellent, and it left a fragrant aftertaste in the mouth and teeth. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu ate a few bowls of it. Brother Chu, I've invited you here mainly because I've heard of your exquisite Buddhist techniques. I'd like to exchange some pointers with you. Huixin said after they finished their vegetarian meal. Chapter 250. Cough cough. Chu Kuangren almost spat out the food he had just swallowed when he heard Huixin's words. What the hell? Another one wants to have a Buddhist exchange with me? The last time he tried to fool Wu Yi, he almost caused him to go berserk. In the end, Wu Yi benefited from his misfortune and his Buddhist cultivation greatly improved. However, who knew if he would be so lucky again this time? Although he had the lucky halo, he did not dare to mess around. No matter how lucky he was, he would not be able to stop himself from seeking death. Great Master, you're a famous monk of great virtue. When it comes to Buddhist knowledge, very few people can compare to you. How can I have the ability to communicate with you? You're too humble, Brother Taoist. Wu Yi has already told me everything. I've yet to fully understand the exquisite Buddhist mantras that you taught me. In terms of Buddhist knowledge, I'm afraid I'm far inferior to you. Huixin smiled bitterly. He was truly ashamed of his own inferiority. As an abbot and a Buddhist monk of great virtue, he could not compare to a young man in terms of Buddhist cultivation even after so many years of meditation. Huixin felt a little ashamed at that thought. However, this was also an opportunity. Like Wu Yi, he had been trapped in a Buddhist Dharma realm for many years and needed someone to guide him through it. That person's Buddhist cultivation must be above him. However, in the Thunder Temple, Even the few sages might not be able to match up to him in terms of Buddhist cultivation, let alone the others. Chu Kuangren's appearance gave him hope. When Wu Yi recited the Buddhist mantras that Chu Kuangren had taught him, Hui Xen felt that the bottleneck that had troubled him for so many years had begun to loosen. That was the reason he sought Chu Kuangren out. He hoped that Chu Kuangren could help him break through the bottleneck during their Buddhist exchange. Please enlighten me, Brother Chu. Hui Xen looked at Chu Kuangren with an earnest and sincere gaze. Chu Kuangren felt a headache coming on from Hui Xen's gaze. If he was really proficient in Buddhist techniques, it would not be a problem for him to exchange some pointers with Hui Xen. Unfortunately, he knew nothing about it. All he knew were some random sayings that he had read and heard in his past life. Who knew how useful they would be? It was fine for him to copy some ancient poems, but how could it be that easy to enlighten an honorable monk of great virtue? As long as Brother Chu is willing, I am willing to open the Thunder Temple's Sutra Depository to you. You can read any book you want. Just when Chu Kuangren was about to reject her, Hui Xen suddenly gritted her teeth and said as if she had made up her mind. Hearing this, the surrounding monks were in an uproar. One had to know that the Sutra Depository of the Thunder Temple contained many Buddhist scriptures and techniques from ancient times until now. They were extremely precious. He did not expect Hui Xen to be willing to make such a huge sacrifice just to exchange Buddhist techniques with Chu Kuangren. Upon hearing Hui Xen's words, Chu Kuangren swallowed the words of rejection that were at the tip of his tongue. His eyes lit up as he thought to himself, Scripture Depository? He wasn't interested in those Buddhist scriptures, but those Buddhist techniques were of some use to him. After all, he still had an incomplete Dharma coalescence Taoist physique. This was a peerless supreme Taoist physique that was even more powerful than the exquisite nine orifices sword heart and the infallible tormented physique. Once this body was completely formed, it would be extremely useful to him. In order to perfect this Taoist physique, Chu Kuangren had to learn a lot of cultivation techniques to strengthen his understanding of Taoism. Chu Kuangren knew too many cultivation techniques now. He had learned more than 8,000 techniques from the Dharma sect alone. Even so, he was still a little short of perfecting the Dharma physique. Now that Hui Xen was willing to open up the Sutra Depository for him to read as many Buddhist techniques as he wanted, it was a rare opportunity. I can exchange Buddhist techniques, but I'm not sure if I can help you, Master, Chu Kuangren said honestly. It's fine. Whether it succeeds or not, the Sutra Depository will be open to you. Master Hui Xen smiled. All right then, let's begin. Please follow me, Brother Chu. Hui Xen brought Chu Kuangren to a large hall. A Buddha statue was enshrined in the hall. In front of the Buddha statue there were 2 prayer mats. Chu Kuangren and Hui Xen sat down and prepared to start their exchange. News about them had spread throughout the Thunder Temple. When they heard that the abbot wanted to exchange Buddhist techniques with Chu Kuangren, many monks came to watch. Even the Buddhist sage of the Thunder Temple was shocked. Deep within the Thunder Temple, inside a small Buddhist hall, a few old monks were sitting cross-legged in meditation. Suddenly, one of them opened his eyes and said with interest, Hui Xen wants to have a Buddhist exchange with Chu Kuangren. Interesting. I wonder how high this person's Buddhist attainment is. Let's all go and have a look. This person is indeed surprising. The golden Buddha on the ancient battlefield is enough to prove that his Buddhist techniques are extraordinary. Surges of spiritual thoughts spread out from the small Buddhist hall. At this moment, in the Buddhist hall, Chu Kuangren and Hui Xen sat on the prayer mats. Brother, please. Yes. Chu Kuangren nodded and said, What is Buddha? Buddha is the Buddha who does good deeds. That's not bad. Chu Kuangren said. May I ask, brother? What is Buddha? Hui Xen looked at Chu Kuangren and asked solemnly. I am the Buddha. Those words were like a sudden clap of thunder that exploded in the ears of the monks. The Thunder Temple's sage was shocked too. How arrogant. He is the Buddha? What does he think the Buddha is? I thought this person would have some profound insight, but I didn't expect him to spout such shameless words. The Thunder Temple's monks and sages were shocked by Chu Kuangren's declaration of, I am a Buddha. Then a wave of anger rose within them. To them, Chu Kuangren's words were an insult to the Buddha. Such an act was infuriating. Brother Chu, what do you mean by that? Hui Xen said with a serious look. Obviously, he was also enraged by Chu Kuangren's words. I am the Buddha. Or should I say, all beings are Buddhas. Buddhas are self-created and they should not seek external help. My heart is Buddha and my Buddha is the true Buddha. Those words made everyone fall into deep thought, especially the Thunder Temple's sage. His mind buzzed as if Sanskrit chants were echoing in his mind. Hui Xian's body trembled, and the Buddhist light on his body surged uncontrollably as he fell into a state of enlightenment. What was the Buddha? The Buddha did not refer to a specific existence. The Buddha was just a concept. Cultivating Buddhism and Taoism was all about cultivating one's heart. Everyone had a Buddhist nature. As long as one was enlightened, everyone could say that they were the Buddha. All beings were Buddhas and the Buddhist Dharma existed in all things. The Buddhist light on Hui Xian's body grew stronger. After a while, he slowly opened his eyes, got up, and bowed to Chu Kuangren. Thank you for your guidance, Brother Chu. You're welcome, Master. Shall we continue? Brother Chu, your Buddhist Dharma cultivation is impressive. Just this question alone has benefited me for the rest of my life. There's no need to continue. Hui Xian said calmly. Chu Kuangren was a little confused. Was it done just like that? Was it that simple? What about the scripture library? Rest assured, Brother Chu. From today onwards, all the books in the scripture library will be open to you. You may read them on your own. All right. Chu Kuangren nodded, very satisfied. He did not expect the exchange to be so simple. Sure enough, a master was indeed a master. Chu Kuangren did not even need to fool him. Chapter 251. The depth of this person's Buddhist Dharma is truly amazing. I'm not as good as him. If this person was born in Buddhism, he would be a Buddhist disciple. Inside the Thunder Temple, a few Buddhist sages were whispering to each other. They were obviously surprised by Chu Kuangren's Buddhist mantras. They had been studying Buddhist Dharma for many years, and they were confident that no one in this world could compare to them in terms of Buddhist Dharma. However, Chu Kuangren's few words had made them feel like they had been enlightened, as if the clouds had parted to reveal the sky. This level of Buddhist Dharma mastery far surpassed theirs. After exchanging some Buddhist Dharma with Master Hui Xian, the latter opened the scripture library for him to look around. Once Chu Kuangren entered, he immediately flipped through the Buddhist techniques without a word. As for the Buddhist scriptures, he did not even look at them. The young monk who brought him in could not help but frown when he saw that. One had to know that the Buddhist cultivation method was very special. If one did not have some understanding of the Buddhist scriptures, it would be very difficult to achieve anything. Chu Kuangren's behavior of directly reading the techniques without reading the Buddhist scriptures was a big taboo in the Thunder Temple. Brother Chu, the young monk was just about to remind him. Then he saw a faint layer of Buddhist light emanating from Chu Kuangren's body. It gathered on his palm and emitted a metallic luster. Is this the Thunder Temple's golden wisdom palm? Hiss. The young monk sucked in a breath of cold air. He did not expect Chu Kuangren to master this cultivation technique in such a short time. What kind of cultivation speed was that? Master, is there anything you want to say? Chu Kuangren looked at the young monk curiously. The young monk swallowed his words of warning and said, Nothing much. I just wanted to say that Brother Chu can read the scriptures in the scripture library. I'll take my leave first. Take care, Master. The young monk bowed before turning around and leaving. He secretly shook his head. Chu Kuangren's Buddhist Dharma mastery was so profound that even the abbot and the others were ashamed of their inferiority. Why would he need to read the Buddhist scriptures? After the young monk left, Chu Kuangren began to read through the various Buddhist techniques in the scripture library. With the help of the meditational clarity attribute, he was able to learn these Buddhist techniques at an incredible speed. Golden Wisdom Palm, Formless Finger of Tribulation, Great Sunlight Demonic Saber. One by one, Chu Kuangren quickly digested the Buddhist techniques. A mysterious Taoist rhyme flowed around his body, and there was even a Buddha's light emanating from him. His entire person looked extremely holy. At the same time, his 10,000 techniques of coalescence Taoist physique was also rapidly absorbing the Taoist rhymes of these Buddhist techniques and was becoming more and more complete. Thunder Sound Temple, Dharma Institution. The Dharma Hall was the place where the martial monks of the Thunder Temple gathered. These martial monks were the most proficient in combat, and the Dharma Hall's first seat was the most terrifying existence below the sages in the Thunder Temple. In the main hall, an old monk dressed in gray clothes stood in front of everyone. No one dared to breathe loudly. This old monk was the current Dharma Institute's president, Master Xiaoxin. Are you saying that our Thunder Temple's sutra depository was open to an outsider unconditionally by the abbot? Xiaoxin said calmly. Yes, a monk at the side said indifferently. What is Hui Xian doing? The scripture depository is the foundation of our Thunder Temple. How can we let an outsider enter? Sha Xan snorted coldly. He had no respect for the abbot at all. One of the martial monks recounted what happened. Chu Kuangren? Buddhist Dharma? Chu Kuangren knows Buddhist Dharma? Even so, opening the scripture depository to an outsider is a ridiculous decision. Sha Xan then got up and walked out of the house. What are you going to do, first seat? I'm going to drag Chu Kuangren out of the scripture depository. Hearing that, the group of martial monks was in an uproar. You can't do that, first seat. Chu Kuangren is the Black Heaven sect leader and an honored guest of the Thunder Temple. Dragging him out of the scripture depository is unacceptable. The crowd immediately tried to stop him. Stand down. However, Sha Xan glared at them coldly and a terrifying murderous intent erupted from his body. The group of martial monks was shocked and did not dare to step forward. They could only watch as Sha Xan left and headed towards the scripture depository. Quick, go inform the abbot. One of the martial monks hurriedly said. By then, Sha Xan had already arrived at the scripture depository. His body was surging with a violent murderous intent, making him look like a god of death. In front of the scripture depository, Lan Yu frowned. She had been waiting for Chu Kuangren, but she did not expect Sha Xan to suddenly appear. Moreover, it seemed like he did not come with good intentions. It was her first time seeing a monk with such a murderous intent. Chu Kuangren is in there? Sha Xan said calmly, his voice as cold as a rock. That's right. Ask him to come out now. Master will come out when he wants to. Before that, no one can enter unless Master comes out. Lan Yu said indifferently. Her body was already covered with a layer of armor. She realized that the person in front of her was hostile towards Chu Kuangren. Just this point alone was enough for her to prepare for battle. Oh, so you're the legendary young Emperor Lan Yu, Chu Kuangren's follower. Looks like I'll have to go through you first to drag him out, Sha Xan said as a layer of Buddhist light surged from his body. The Buddhist light was bright, but Sha Xan was filled with murderous intent. The combination of these two gave off a very contradictory feeling. However, it was undeniable that Sha Xan was very strong. At least, he had given Lan Yu a lot of pressure. She took out her scepter of light and was ready for battle. Just as the two of them were about to fight, a ray of Buddhist light suddenly shot up into the sky from the scripture library. It transformed into golden Buddhist lotuses in the void and a wave of compassionate Taoist rhyme emanated. Sha Xan was shocked when he saw it. This Taoist rhyme is the Thunder Temple's sage technique, golden lotus suppressing 1,000 demons. At that moment, another wave of Taoist rhyme emanated from the Buddhist light and transformed into a Buddhist figure holding a demon-vanquishing pestle. Besides that, another wave of Taoist rhyme circulated in the void and reverberated with waves of Sanskrit chants, causing everyone to subconsciously calm down. Even Sha Xan's murderous intent subconsciously diminished in the face of this Sanskrit chants. Sage technique, golden warrior avatar. Sage technique, calming mantra. Sha Xan looked in the direction of the scripture library in shock. Countless Taoist rhymes manifested in the library. Besides the Thunder Temple's most famous sage techniques, there were also other Buddhist cultivation techniques. Sha Xan was dumbfounded by the strange phenomena that filled the sky. How is this possible? What's going on? Sha Xan stared at the scripture library in disbelief. This must be Brother Chu's doing. At that moment, the Thunder Temple's abbot Hui Xian's voice rang out from behind Sha Xan. Sha Xan turned around and said, "That's impossible. He just went in not too long ago. How can he release such a Taoist rhyme?" Nothing is impossible. Hui Xian shook his head. Everyone knows that Brother Chu spent half a day in the Dharma sect trying to understand 8,000 techniques. It's not surprising that he can understand the sage techniques in the scripture library. But isn't this a little too fast? Sha Xan said in a complicated tone. Judging from the Taoist rhyme that Chu Kuangren released, Sha Xan could not understand as much as him even if he spent half his life trying to understand it. Chapter 252. Buddhist light filled the air above the scripture library. All sorts of Buddhist cultivation techniques were displayed in the air, shocking everyone. Sha Xan, the head of the Dharma Institute, looked at the various cultivation techniques and remembered his purpose of coming here. He suddenly felt a sense of disappointment. He came here to drag Chu Kuangren out. After all, the scripture library contained the knowledge that the Thunder Temple had accumulated over the years. However, he suddenly felt that there was no need for that now. Chu Kuangren had already learned all the sage techniques, so what was the point of him going in to drag him out? It was too late. He did not expect Chu Kuangren's level of enlightenment to be this terrifying. It had only been half a day since he entered the scripture library and he had already learned all the cultivation techniques. Was this guy even human? At that moment, the various transformations in the sky dissipated. A creak was heard. The scripture library's door opened and Chu Kuangren slowly walked out. Buddhist light circulated around his body and Taoist rhymes manifested. There was an indescribable holiness about him. Coupled with his otherworldly appearance and temperament, he looked like an immortal that attracted the attention of all the monks at the scene. Monks meditated every day so their mental state was the best. When they saw Chu Kuangren, they still felt their Buddhist heart tremble. It was a feeling of longing for the most beautiful things in the world. It was a human's instinct to pursue beauty. My Buddhist heart is like steel, unshakable. Amitabha. When Sha Xan saw Chu Kuangren, he quickly chanted the name of Buddha. However, his hostility towards Chu Kuangren had unknowingly decreased. At Brother Chu's Taoist rhymes, suddenly Hui Xan let out a soft gasp. He noticed that Chu Kuangren's Taoist rhymes were a little unusual. It was not only Buddhist Taoist rhymes but also other Taoist rhymes. Sha Xan noticed it as well. After taking a closer look, he gasped in disbelief. Other than Buddhist Taoist rhymes, there were many other Taoist rhymes on Chu Kuangren's body. There were sword Tao, fist Tao, five ways Tao, yin-yang Tao. These countless Taoist rhymes circulated within his body, emanating a divine light. At that moment, Chu Kuangren was like a furnace that combined all these Taoist rhymes into an unparalleled peerless Taoist rhymes. This Taoist rhyme was formed from the fusion of countless Taoist rhymes. Yet it was as if one could see the shadows of all Taoist rhymes in the world. This is the Dharma Coalescence Tao Physique. The Transcendent Coalescence Taoist Physique ranks third among the 3,000 Taoist physiques, the Supreme Taoist Physique. How many years has it not appeared? Rumor has it that once the 10,000 powers of Coalescence Taoist Physique is mastered, killing a sage will be a piece of cake. It is the most terrifying power in the world. Hui Xan and Sha Xan were both shocked. They knew that Chu Kuangren possessed the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart, which was one of the top 10 supreme Taoist physiques among the 3,000 physiques. But now, there was another transcendent unification Taoist body that was even more terrifying than the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart. It was hard to imagine how terrifying his combat strength would be. The Taoist rhyme on Chu Kuangren's body gradually converged and returned to normal. He slowly walked towards Hui Xan and Sha Xan and smiled. Borrowing the scripture library's books has been a great help to me. Thank you very much, Master. With the help of the meditational clarity attribute, Chu Kuangren quickly learned countless Buddhist techniques. Coupled with the foundation he had previously accumulated, Chu Kuangren finally managed to condense the Transcendent Coalescence Taoist Physique in one fell swoop after studying countless techniques. Although it was not mastered yet, as his cultivation level increased, the power of this Taoist physique would also increase correspondingly. It was the right decision to come to the Thunder Temple. Chu Kuangren thought to himself. Brother Chu, I'm sure it must have taken a lot of effort to study the cultivation techniques. I've already asked the disciples to prepare a guest room for you. You can rest there any time, Hui Xan said. Thank you, Master. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly and left with Lan Yu. After the two of them left, Hui Xan glanced at Sha Xan and smiled playfully. I heard that you're here to drag Brother Chu out of the scripture library. Why didn't you say anything just now? Sha Xan's face darkened. What do you want me to drag out? That guy has already learned all the techniques and you're still mocking me? What kind of an abbot are you? Sha Xan had a fiery temper and was straightforward with his words. He had grown up together with Hui Xan, so their relationship was not ordinary. Sha Xan was not as respectful to Hui Xan as the other monks and was much more casual with him. Hui Xan knew his old friend well, so he did not blame him. He said, Do you know what I learned from my Buddhist exchange with Brother Chu today? What did you learn? Sha Xan had heard from the other monks about Hui Xan's Buddhist exchange with Chu Kuangren. However, he did not know the details. To him, Chu Kuangren might be well versed in Buddhist techniques, but he was still an outsider. That was not a reason for him to enter the scripture library as he pleased. I'm about to ascend, and after this exchange with Brother Chu, I have at least a 70% chance of ascension. Hui Xan said shockingly. Upon hearing this, Sha Xan's expression changed. What did he say to you? How did he improve your dermic skills to such an extent? One should know that the Thunder Temple's cultivation techniques were closely related to one's Buddhist cultivation base. The higher one's Buddhist cultivation base, the more powerful the cultivation technique would be. Initially, when Huixian was about to ascend, he only had a 50% chance of success. However, after exchanging Buddhist techniques with Chu Kuangren, he had a 70% chance of success. This 20% was not to be underestimated. There were countless cultivators in the world, but only a handful of them had a 70% chance of ascension. Xiaoxing could not believe that Huixian had improved so much just by exchanging Buddhist techniques with Chu Kuangren. Huixian took out a small booklet and handed it to Xiaoxing. Take a look for yourself. This is... Xiaoxing took the booklet and flipped it open. The first sentence that entered his eyes was enough to shock him. All forms are fabricated. If you see that all forms are not, you will see the Tathagata. Just that sentence alone was enough to make Xiaoxing gasp in amazement. There were more than 10 more sentences in the booklet. Did Chu Kuangren tell you all these? That's right. Huixian nodded. These were what Wu Yi told me when Chu Kuangren gave him pointers. Xiaoxing fell silent. Looking at the booklet in his hand, he felt that it weighed 1,000 tons. If these words were to spread, Chu Kuangren would gain a supreme position in the Buddhist sect. No wonder you allowed him to enter and leave the scripture library freely. Xiaoxing smiled bitterly. Take this booklet back and study it well. You may be a Buddhist, but your murderous intent is too strong. I hope these words will be of help to you, Huixian said. All right. Xiaoxing kept the booklet. After he returned to the Dharma yard, he spent the entire night reading the booklet. There were only about a dozen sentences and about 200 words in the booklet, which could be finished in a single glance. However, Xiaoxing spent the entire night reading the booklet carefully. But after an entire night, not only did he not gain anything, his eyes gradually revealed a perplexed look. I've killed so many people all these years, can I really achieve enlightenment? Lay down my blade and become a Buddha? But if I lay down my blade, who will protect the common people? The more Xiaoxing thought about it, the more confused he became. Chapter 253. Why? Is it really impossible for me to attain enlightenment? I've done so much for Buddhism and the common people. Is it all for naught? Lay down the butcher's knife and become a Buddha? No, I don't want to. In the Dharma yard, Xiaoxian's expression kept changing. His eyes revealed his struggle and the Buddha's light on his body flickered. In the next moment, a strong burst of spiritual energy exploded from his body and turned into a storm, shattering the entire house. The entire Dharma yard was shaken. Countless monks rushed out and looked in the direction of Xiaoxing. What's going on? This aura belongs to the chief. What's wrong with the chief? Is there an enemy attack? The monks turned pale with fright and rushed toward the source of the killing intent. All they saw was Xiaoxing wearing a cloth robe and holding a long saber in his hand. He stood in the ruins and the Buddha's light on his body flickered. Chief? One of the monks asked curiously. At this moment, Xiaoxian's body began to emit a murderous aura. An old monk sensed that something was wrong and his expression changed. He pulled the monk back and shouted, "Step back." The crowd began to step back. A terrifying saber aura exploded from Xiaoxian's body and sent the monks flying. Kill. I'm not wrong. Xiaoxian's eyes were bloodshot. Holding the long saber in his hand, a terrifying saber aura circled around his body and swept toward the monks. Oh no, the chief has gone berserk. What's going on? At this moment, a majestic Buddha's light appeared in the sky and a golden palm print came crashing down with the intention of suppressing Xiaoxing. However, Xiaoxing slashed at the sky and tore the palm print apart. Huixian fell from the sky. He looked at Xiaoxing with a solemn expression. What's going on? Why did Xiaoxing suddenly go berserk? We don't know either. When we arrived, the chief was already in this state. The monks were also puzzled. Suddenly, Huixian saw a small booklet on the ground and pulled it over. His expression changed when he read the contents. This was the booklet that he had given to Xiaoxing yesterday. Could this booklet be the reason why Xiaoxing suddenly went berserk? Huixian could not help but blame himself at this thought. No, we must stop him. A vast Buddhist light surged from Huixian's body. If Xiaoxian was allowed to continue like this, he would completely turn into a demon. By then, even God Daluo would not be able to save him. Calm Heart Mantra. Huixian activated the Thunder Temple's Saint technique. A series of strange Sanskrit sounds reverberated in the air, bringing with it a mysterious Taoist rhyme that attempted to pacify the murderous intent. However, even this sage technique was useless against one's killing intent. His eyes were bloodshot as he gripped the long blade in his hand tightly. He stared at Hui Xan before charging forward and slashing out with a terrifying blade. The saber chi surged and turned into a huge saber shadow that was 100 feet long. Hui Xan put his palms together, and two golden palms appeared out of thin air to clamp down on the saber shadows. Amit ba Sha Xan, put down the butcher's knife. Hui Xan's shout was like a clap of thunder. However, the look in Sha Xan's eyes changed. There was a flash of confusion, struggle, and other emotions before his face turned into madness. Kill, kill. If I don't kill all of you devils, I won't put down my blade. He roared as he channeled his spiritual power. The power of his saber chi increased tremendously, and cracks began to appear on the two giant palms formed by Hui Xan's Buddhist light. If this goes on, Sha Xan will definitely fall into the demonic path. Hui Xan's expression was extremely solemn. At that moment, a golden palm attack came from beside him and landed on Sha Xan, sending him flying dozens of feet away. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu walked up to him. Great Master, what's going on? Chu Kuangren asked curiously. Sha Xan has fallen into the demonic path, Hui Xan said. Kill, kill. Sha Xan, who was sent flying by the palm attack, charged forward again. He gripped the long blade in his hand tightly as a terrifying murderous intent erupted from his body. His eyes were bloodshot as he charged towards Chu Kuangren and the others. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and slapped the void. A golden palm appeared out of thin air, wrapped in a majestic Buddhist light and a majestic Taoist rhyme, and it slapped towards Sha Xan. Giant palm of exorcism. To the monks, Sha Xan, who was extremely powerful, was once again sent flying by Chu Kuangren's simple move. This kind of power caused everyone present to be moved. It's another Buddhist technique that I've never seen before. Hui Xan could not help but exclaim. This made him even more certain that Chu Kuangren was a powerful Buddhist cultivator. Sha Xan, who was sent flying, spat out a mouthful of blood. His bones and tendons began to crack and his Buddhist light dimmed. The murderous intent in his eyes was greatly weakened due to the sudden injury. Seeing that Chu Kuangren's Taoist rhyme manifested, Buddhist light surged, and Sanskrit chants appeared in the void. It was the sage technique calming mantra. Compared to Hui Xan, Chu Kuangren's calming mantra was much more exquisite. The murderous intent in Sha Xan's eyes dissipated, and his expression became peaceful again. Hui Xan could not help but sigh at that. He had been studying the calming mantra for so many years, yet he could not even compare to Sha Xan's half a day's worth of effort. Could he really be the reincarnation of a living Buddha? Hui Xan secretly guessed. However, now was not the time to discuss that. He quickly rushed to Sha Xan's side and helped him up. Sha Xan, are you all right? I'm fine. Sha Xan smiled bitterly. What exactly caused you to go berserk? I've been reading that booklet you gave me for the entire night. Those words were too profound and I couldn't understand them. In the end, I realized that I've killed too many people over the years, and I'm afraid that I won't be able to attain enlightenment in this lifetime. When I thought of that, I couldn't accept it, and that's why I went berserk. At that, Sha Xan looked a little dejected. It was as if he had aged, and the domineering aura he had before was nowhere to be seen. You're just too stubborn. Once you put down your blade, you can become a Buddha. Hui Xan quickly comforted him. Sha Xan's expression kept changing and he sighed. From tomorrow onwards, I'll resign from the Dharma Institute's first seat and go into closed-door meditation to gain enlightenment on Buddhist Dharma. Hopefully, I'll be able to dispel this evil aura within me. Although he said that, he still looked extremely dejected. He asked himself if he had done anything wrong. The people he had killed were people who deserved to be killed, so why did he have to suffer in the end? Could this be the Buddhist test? Idiot. At that moment, Chu Kuangren, who was beside him, shouted. Upon hearing that, everyone looked at him in confusion. I've never seen a cultivator as stupid as you. Chu Kuangren looked at Sha Xan and said indifferently. Sha Xan's expression darkened. What do you mean, Brother Chu? You haven't resolved the knot in your heart, yet you want to dispel your evil aura and prove your Buddhist core. That's destroying your own future. If that's not stupid, then what is? But if I don't do that, how can I attain enlightenment? Those people you've killed, do they deserve to die? They deserve to die. Sha Xan said coldly. If they deserve to die, then you're not at fault. Don't you think that you're at fault? Put down your blade and you'll become a Buddha. You've put down the blade in your hand, but how can you put down the blade in your heart? Sha Xian's eyes were once again filled with struggle and confusion. As his expression changed, a murderous intent surfaced again. Hui Xin, who was beside him, was shocked. It can't be, right? Did Chu Kuangren's words really drive Sha Xian into berserk again? Brother Chu, please teach me, what should I do? Sha Xian asked Chu Kuangren with his last shred of rationality. Chu Kuangren replied indifferently, I'll leave you with a sentence. Kill to protect but not to kill. Chapter 254. Kill to protect, slay karma instead of slaying people. Sha Xian's expression changed as soon as he heard this. His mind buzzed as a sudden epiphany surged into his mind. Kill to protect, slay karma instead of slaying people, Sha Xian muttered a few times. He felt a sense of relief as if a huge boulder had been lifted from his shoulders. He could not help but let out a hearty laugh. Haha, what a great kill to protect, slay karma instead of slaying people. I've understood it now, I've understood it now. A powerful murderous intent erupted from his body, but it was extremely pure and without any evil intent. On the contrary, it resonated with the Buddhist light on his body, giving off a boundless and righteous feeling. Hui Xin was overjoyed, feeling happy for Sha Xian. You've finally proven your Buddhist core. Yes. Sha Xian nodded slightly before he walked up to Chu Kuangren and knelt before him with a loud thud. Sha Xian thanks Brother Chu for your guidance. The dignified Dharma Institute's chief, an honorable supreme, was kneeling before a junior. If word of this got out, many people would be shocked. At least the monk warriors at the scene were shocked. However, Chu Kuangren stood where he was and accepted the bow calmly. He said, You may rise. Sha Xian stood up and said solemnly, Brother Chu, I Sha Xian will never forget your kindness. If you ever need my help in the future, as long as it doesn't harm the innocent, I'll do my best. You're too kind, master. Chu Kuangren smiled. Deep down, however, he was grumbling, Don't give me empty promises if you have the guts. Give me tens of millions of top-tier soul stones to spend instead. If there's something I can't do, what can you do? Although that was what Chu Kuangren was thinking, he did not show it on his face. He was the Black Heaven sect leader after all. It would be embarrassing for him to ask for money. For the next few days, Chu Kuangren was treated like a VIP in the Thunder Temple. Every monk was extremely respectful towards him. In the eyes of the monks, Chu Kuangren had almost become a living Buddha who was walking in the mortal realm after teaching Hui Xian and Sha Xian. Have you heard that Princess Linglong has been challenged? Tisk, who dares to challenge a young emperor? I heard that he's also a young emperor. Chu Kuangren had just finished his vegetarian meal when he heard a few monks conversing beside him. His heart skipped a beat and he was a little surprised. Princess Linglong was challenged? Chu Kuangren frowned slightly. In the past year, Chu Kuangren had kept in touch with Princess Linglong. Sometimes, Princess Linglong would also stay at the Black Heaven sect for a short stay. She even said that it was to deepen the relationship between the Royal Azure Dynasty and the Black Heaven sect. He gradually developed a good impression of Princess Linglong. Although it might not be love, it was in the category of liking. Not to mention the two of them had skin contact before. He was even her son-in-law. Now that he heard that she was being challenged, he couldn't help but worry. Master, do you want to visit the Royal Azure Dynasty? Lan Yu noticed Chu Kuangren's displeased expression. She knew Chu Kuangren very well and could guess what he was thinking, so she suggested. Let's go then. But before that, let's find out who's the one who challenged Linglong, Chu Kuangren said. It was not difficult to find out. Young emperors were the most outstanding sky prides in this world, and they were always the center of attention. Although not everyone knew about a young emperor challenging another young emperor, many forces were aware of it. He found Wu Yi and asked about it. The one who challenged Princess Linglong is Shang Han from the Scarlet Phoenix domain. The time and venue is tomorrow in the Royal Azure Dynasty's palace. Wu Yi said. Shang Han, what a coincidence. A cold glint flashed across Chu Kuangren's eyes when he heard that name. Speaking of which, he had originally planned to visit the Scarlet Phoenix domain's Shang clan after leaving the Thunder Temple. First, he wanted to find the White-Robed General's descendant. Since Shang Han had the Lu clan's ancient sword, he might be able to find some clues. Second, the other party had taken the Boundary Emperor weapon from the ancient Lu kingdom and released millions of tormented souls. It was time to put an end to this matter. Brother Chu, do you know this person? Hey, he's just a defeated opponent. Chu Kuangren chuckled. After learning what he needed to know, Chu Kuangren did not stay in the Thunder Temple any longer and headed to the Royal Azure Dynasty with Lan Yu. Royal Azure Dynasty. Inside Princess Linglong's bedroom. Princess, you are going to duel with Shang Han tonight. You must beat him to a pulp, Wang Xian said. A serving girl was helping Princess Linglong change her clothes. Princess Linglong smiled and said, Shang Han is a young emperor, and he obtained the primordial emperor's essence earlier than me. His time spent on it is longer than mine, so it won't be easy to defeat him. Is that guy really that powerful? The servant girl was a little surprised. Of course, and it looks like he came prepared. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for me to win this battle. Princess Linglong sighed. It would be great if the fiancé was here. With him around, that Shang Han wouldn't dare to show off, the servant girl said. Of course. At the mention of the fiancé, Princess Linglong had a proud look on her face. If the fiancé was here, let alone Shang Han, even if all the young emperors of the world were to gather, what would he have to fear? She had great confidence in Chu Kuangren. This confidence was not blind, but it was based on her understanding of Chu Kuangren. If he knows that I'm being challenged, will he be worried about me? Will he come looking for me? Princess Linglong suddenly had a sense of anticipation. After dressing herself up, Princess Linglong walked out of her bedroom and arrived at the palace's drill ground. Her fiery red robe made her look beautiful and noble. As soon as she appeared, everyone felt like the night had brightened up a little. On the drill ground, the Royal Azure Dynasty King Gu Chang'e and the others were all there. There was another person standing in the drill ground. That person was dressed in a long black robe and held a long black halberd in his hand. His expression was cold. However, when he saw Princess Linglong in her red robe, he was moved. However, Princess Linglong did not even look at him. She first went to the Royal Azure Dynasty King and bowed. My son, you must be careful in this battle. The Royal Azure Dynasty King said solemnly. This was a matter between the younger generation, a challenge between young emperors. Even as the king, it was not appropriate for him to intervene. Yes, father. Princess Linglong nodded. Then she walked to Shang Han and a curved blade appeared in her hand. The blade glowed coldly and was carved with the image of a bright moon. It was the full moon blade that she obtained when she explored the luminous moon secret realm a few years ago. Actually, it was not entirely accurate to say that she obtained it. This blade was given to her by Chu Kuangren after they had sex. From then on, she carried this blade with her at all times, becoming her weapon. This was a holy artifact worthy of her status. Make your move. Princess Linglong said calmly. I'll let you make the first move. Shang Han raised his halberd and said coldly. He looked at Princess Linglong with a mixture of hatred and possessiveness in his eyes. 4 years ago you and Chu Kuangren have brought me humiliation. Today I shall return it to you first. Once I've defeated you, I'll look for Chu Kuangren again to avenge my humiliation. Shang said coldly. Princess Linglong could not help but laugh. You think you're worthy of challenging the fiancé? You're like a mantis trying to stop a chariot and overestimating yourself. Are you so sure that I can't defeat Chu Kuangren? The fiancé is as bright as the moon, and you're less than a firefly. Chapter 255. The prince consort is like the bright moon, but you are not even comparable to a firefly. Princess Linglong had nothing but praise for Chu Kuangren. As for Shang Han, she did her best to belittle him. These were her heartfelt words, and at the same time, she was disrupting Shang Han's Tao heart and creating openings. True enough. After hearing Princess Linglong's words, Shang Han's face turned extremely gloomy. The Taoist rhymes on his body exploded instantly, turning into a strong gale that swept across the area. The tiles under his feet were lifted up and sent flying in all directions. At this moment, Princess Linglong made her move. While Shang Han's Tao heart was still shaken, she swung the bright moon blade in her hand, and a silvery white blade gleam that looked like moonlight rolled out. The saber light was like a hot knife through butter, containing a powerful Taoist rhyme. Shang Han scoffed. Without using any weapons, he raised his hand and gathered his Taoist rhymes. He clenched his fist and threw a punch at the void. The two forces collided and set off layers of airwaves in the void. Shang Han was actually sent flying back several meters, and there was a rather surprised expression on his face. I didn't expect you to have such strength. Shang Han did not care about Princess Linglong at all. In his opinion, Princess Linglong only became a young empress because she was lucky enough to obtain the primordial emperor's essence. Compared to him, she was a far cry. However, only after exchanging blows today did he realize that his opponent's strength was actually not inferior to his own. After forcing Shanghan back with a single move, Princess Linglong did not hold back at all. She waved the bright moon saber in her hand, and rays of saber light gushed out one after another. The silvery white saber light instantly lit up the entire night sky. Shanghan snorted. "Looks like I've underestimated you." As he flipped his palms, a terrifying surge of Taoist rhyme mixed with spiritual power erupted instantly, sweeping out like a storm. Mountain-crushing godly palm. With a palm strike, two completely different Taoist rhymes collided in the void. Shockwaves exploded, and the imperial guards in the palace were all shocked. This was a power that they could not resist. Is this the power of a young emperor? So powerful. I'm afraid he's no weaker than an utmost being. I didn't expect Linglong to have such strength, Gu Chang'e said in surprise. For the past few years, Princess Linglong had been keeping a low profile and rarely fought in front of outsiders. No one expected her strength to be this strong. Even Gu Chang'e was a little inferior to him. It is indeed rare. The royal Azure Dynasty rulers smiled in relief. A few years ago, Princess Linglong could not even decide on her own marriage. Now, she had grown to the point where she could take charge of her own affairs. Your strength has indeed exceeded my expectations, but unfortunately, you're destined to lose to me today. Shanghan let out a roar, and the Taoist aura and spiritual energy on his body burst forth. The palm strike turned into a formless storm, shattering all of the saber chi. Linglong was also knocked back dozens of feet by this power. She suddenly took out an item. It was a black skull. The black skull was thrown out and it expanded in the wind, turning into a huge skull phantom. Its body was surging with a gray death aura, and it faintly revealed the Taoist rhyme of a sage. This is made from the bones of saints. Shanghan said in surprise. Not bad. Let me experience the might of this blacklight skeleton. Princess Linglong said plainly. She controlled the skull made of black light to tear at Shanghan, and wherever it went, a chilly wind swept through. She obtained this skull in the luminous moon secret realm. It was made from the skull that she took with her after the death of the Blacklight Sage. The Blacklight skeleton was surging with an unsettling death aura. Shanghan did not dare to fight it head-on, and could only avoid it for the time being. He came before the halberd and held it in his hand. At that moment, an unparalleled Taoist rhyme erupted from the halberd. Soaring waterfall technique. Shanghan shouted. An extremely domineering force erupted. A black light shot out from the halberd and landed on the black skull. In an instant it pierced through the skull. The Taoist rhyme on the skull was broken and it fell to the ground. Princess Linglong felt the backlash and her face turned pale. She looked at the halberd in Shanghan's hand and said in disbelief, "What kind of weapon is this? How can it shatter a sage's skull so easily?" One should know that the body of a sage was indestructible, and it was difficult for cultivators below the sage level to break it. Even the Blacklight Sage's skull took Princess Linglong almost a year to refine into this Blacklight skeleton. Princess Linglong, you should feel honored. Ever since the Heaven's Halberd was reborn, you're the first person to be defeated by it. Shanghan held the halberd in his hand, and his aura was unstoppable. The Heaven's Halberd erupted with a terrifying Taoist rhyme that merged with his body, increasing his strength by more than 10 times. Everyone at the scene was shocked. Even the royal Azure Dynasty king was filled with fear. What is this halberd? Even a sage ruler weapon can't increase a cultivator's combat strength to this level. This is a boundary emperor weapon. The royal Azure Dynasty king said in shock. A boundary emperor weapon was too rare. Even if one searched the entire royal Azure Dynasty, one would not be able to find a single boundary emperor weapon. No wonder you said that you'll defeat the fiancé. It's because you have this halberd. Princess Linglong finally understood. Even Chu Kuangren would be defeated by the Heaven's Halberd. Princess Linglong, just watch as I defeat him and trample him beneath my feet. Shanghan laughed out loud. With a boundary emperor weapon in hand, his confidence was at an all-time high. I've said it before, the fiancé is as bright as the moon, and you're not even comparable to a firefly. Do you think you can defeat the fiancé just because you have a weapon? I'll say it again, you're like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. You've overestimated yourself. Princess Linglong, angering me won't do you any good. Shanghan said with a gloomy expression. I'm just speaking the truth. You're courting death. Seeing how Princess Linglong was so protective of Chu Kuangren, Shanghan's jealousy towards Chu Kuangren reached its peak. His heart was filled with anger and he had to vent it out. Holding the heaven's halberd in his hand, he swung it towards Princess Linglong. A majestic Taoist rhyme erupted. Princess Linglong could not withstand the force and was sent flying for hundreds of meters. She spat out a mouthful of blood, her face turned pale, and her aura became extremely weak. Enough. The royal Azure Dynasty ruler roared. Let's end this battle here. We've lost. Upon hearing that, Shanghan stood still with his halberd in hand. He looked at Princess Linglong and said, "Since the princess hasn't admitted defeat, this battle isn't over yet." The royal Azure Dynasty ruler looked at Princess Linglong, only to hear her say firmly, "I can lose but I won't admit defeat to you." She had already regarded herself as Chu Kuangren's woman, so there was no way she would admit defeat to someone who insulted Chu Kuangren. "My son, don't be impulsive." The royal Azure Dynasty ruler quickly tried to dissuade Princess Linglong. However, she remained stubborn. Very well. Let's see how tough your bones can be." Shanghan was so angry that he laughed and was about to attack again. ****, if you dare touch her, I'll bury your entire clan." At that moment, an extremely cold voice suddenly resounded above the crowd. The crowd looked over and saw two people walking through the air towards them. One of them was dressed in a white robe with a beautiful ancient sword hanging from his waist. It was as if he was walking on moonlight. Chapter 256. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu arrived at the palace together. Princess Linglong, the royal Azure Dynasty ruler, and the others were overjoyed. When Chu Kuangren arrived before the crowd and saw the injured Princess Linglong, a cold glint flashed across his eyes. He raised his hand and cast the spring breeze healing technique. A gust of gentle wind blew past Princess Linglong and quickly healed her injuries. Shanghan's eyes lit up when he saw Chu Kuangren. He was not afraid at all. "Chu Kuangren, you've come at the right time." Today, before he could finish, an extremely dense Taoist rhyme erupted and turned into a godly mountain that smashed onto Shanghan's body. The terrifying energy sent Shanghan flying hundreds of meters away before he crashed onto the palace wall with a loud bang. ***, you seem to be having a good time," Chu Kuangren said coldly. Shanghan dashed out from the ruins. His hair was disheveled, he was covered in dust, and there were traces of blood at the corner of his mouth. He looked extremely pathetic. "Chu Kuangren, today I shall defeat you and avenge my humiliation." Shanghan was not discouraged despite being sent flying. On the contrary, the battle intent on his body burned. The terrifying Taoist rhyme resonated with the heaven's halberd in his hand, and his aura skyrocketed. Although he was only in the honorable realm, he was able to unleash a terrifying aura that was no weaker than a sage's. The surrounding void trembled violently. That was the power of a boundary emperor weapon. Chu Kuangren, have a taste of the heaven's halberd's power. Sage technique 9 Heaven's Hurricane. Shanghan roared and waved the heaven's halberd. Surges of Taoist rhyme flowed and intertwined in the void before it descended from the sky and turned into a black hurricane that swept towards Chu Kuangren. The black hurricane was like a natural disaster. Every gust of wind was enough to destroy a mountain. The hurricane that was formed from thousands of intertwined gusts of wind was so powerful that it almost tore the void apart, shocking everyone at the scene. What a terrifying power. Even an honorable supreme would find it hard to defend against this attack. This should be at the level of a sage. The crowd looked at the hurricane before them and gulped in shock. However, Chu Kuangren did not budge an inch. As the target of the black tornado, he had to bear the most terrifying pressure. However, all of this didn't affect him in the slightest, and it was as if the destructive storm before him was nothing more than a cool summer breeze. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Chu Kuangren made his move. He slowly raised his fair palm with distinct knuckles. However, that beautiful hand contained a terrifying force that could shake the heavens and the earth, and it slowly struck towards the wind. It was a gentle palm, but it seemed to have a terrifying power that the void could not bear. In an instant, it caused the void to rumble, and the terrifying airwaves spread like ripples when a stone was thrown into a lake. "Break!" A light shout rang out. A terrifying Taoist rhyme accompanied the surge of spiritual power, turning into a divine mountain that crashed onto the black tornado. In an instant, the storm that filled the sky was forcefully shattered. Countless black winds were unable to gather and dispersed in all directions. The terrifying power contained in the majestic divine mountain was like a hot knife cutting through butter. It moved forward with an indomitable will and locked onto Shanghan. In the face of this power, Shang Han, who was holding the heavens halberd in high spirits, suddenly revealed a look of terror. No, no, how can this be? How can his power be so strong? Shang Han roared inwardly as he channeled the spiritual power in his body, trying to block Chu Kuangren's attack. However, it was futile. No matter what he did, he could not stop the attack. The power of the human mountain blasted onto his body without reservation. Boom! With a loud bang, the heavens halberd flew out of Shang Han's hand. His bones were broken and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Just as he was sent flying, a ray of light streaked across the sky and caught up to him. It was Chu Kuangren. He reached out his hand and grabbed Shang Han's neck, lifting him in midair. At that moment, Shang Han's bones and tendons were all broken, and he could not muster any strength at all. His whole body was like a rag. He looked at Chu Kuangren with extreme shock and disbelief. He could not even take a single attack from Chu Kuangren. The Boundary Emperor weapon that he had painstakingly obtained was useless. Let go of my young emperor. Shang Han's protector could no longer sit still. He walked out of the void, raised his arm, and launched a palm attack at Chu Kuangren. Scram! Chu Kuangren let out a soft roar. Like a sudden clap of thunder, a sound wave that contained a surge of Taoist rhyme erupted and spread out like ripples. The surging palm force continued to tremble before the sound wave. In less than a breath of time, the palm force was disintegrated by the sound wave, and the Tao protector himself was sent flying. That's the Thunder Temple's heavenly thunder roar. The protector looked at Chu Kuangren in disbelief. He could not figure out how Chu Kuangren could possess the Thunder Temple's technique. Chu Kuangren could not even be bothered to look at his protector after he forced him to retreat. His gaze landed on Shang Han and he said, "Do you really think you can do whatever you want just because you have the heavens halberd? You're still not worth mentioning in front of me. As long as I want to, I can just move a finger and you'll be gone. Now I'll ask and you'll answer." Chu Kuangren lifted Shang Han and said, "Tell me, where did you get the Lu clan's ancient sword from?" "Chu Kuangren, I won't tell you," Shang Han said weakly. He did not know why Chu Kuangren wanted to know about the Lu clan's ancient sword, but as long as it was something Chu Kuangren wanted to know, he would not let him know. Chu Kuangren said, "It's fine if you don't want to tell me. I'll go to the Scarlet Phoenix domain later and ask the Shang clan about it. As for you, you can die here now." As he said that, a violent Taoist rhyme circulated between his fingers. The next moment Shang Han would be dead. "Chu Kuangren, how dare you kill me? I'm the young emperor of the Shang clan. Aren't you afraid of starting a war between our orthodoxies?" Shang Han said in disbelief. "Do you know? Because of your million-strong tormented army, the Horizon Wing sect has lost more than 16,800 cultivators. The Horizon Wing sect is a subsidiary force of my Black Heaven sect. How do you think we should settle this score? How is it enough to kill a piece of trash like you? The Shang clan will pay the price too." With that, Chu Kuangren clenched his fingers, and a violent surge of energy gushed out from his fingertips. In an instant, Shang Han's body below his head was blasted into a mist of blood. At the same time as Shang Han died, the primordial emperor's essence in his body came out. Chu Kuangren caught it and kept it in his yin and yang ring. Before he died, Shang Han's eyes widened. He still could not believe that Chu Kuangren would really kill him. Young emperor. Shang Han's protector was shocked and grief-stricken. He stared at Chu Kuangren. "Chu Kuangren, you've gone too far." Chu Kuangren glanced at him and tossed Shang Han's head at him. "I have something even more audacious in mind. Take this head back and tell the Shang clan leader and the sages that I'll personally pay them a visit in 3 days. Tell them to wait for my arrival." Upon hearing Chu Kuangren's words, Shang Han's protector shuddered violently. Not daring to delay, he quickly took Shang Han's head and left. Chapter 257. Fiancé, I knew you would come. After dealing with Shang Han, Princess Linglong walked up to Chu Kuangren and looked at her sweetheart with uncontrollable joy in her eyes. "Yes, are you all right?" Chu Kuangren asked. "Fiancé, your spring breeze healing technique is quite extraordinary." "I'm fine now." Princess Linglong smiled. "That's good." Then Chu Kuangren looked at the heavens halberd that was stuck in the ground not far away. He raised his hand, channeled his spiritual power, and pulled it towards him. The heavens halberd had been refined by Shang Han, but since Shang Han was dead, the mark on it had disappeared. It was now an ownerless item again. Everyone looked at the Boundary Emperor weapon with fiery eyes. After all, it was a Boundary Emperor weapon with boundless power. Although Shang Han was a young emperor, his strength was not much stronger than an honorable. However, with the help of this boundary emperor weapon, his combat strength was comparable to a sage's. That alone showed how rare this boundary emperor weapon was. What if it was used by an honorable supreme or even a sage? Would their combat strength not skyrocket? However, now that the boundary emperor weapon was in Chu Kuangren's hands, they would not dare to snatch it even if they were given 10 guts. Inside the royal palace, the royal Azure Dynasty king had prepared a banquet to welcome Chu Kuangren. "Fiancé, are you really planning to go to the Shang clan?" the royal Azure Dynasty king asked. "Of course. I've already made my promise, so how can I go back on it?" Chu Kuangren chuckled. "No matter what, the Shang clan is still a sage orthodoxy. Won't it be too dangerous for you to go there so recklessly? The 16,000 lives of the Horizon Wing sect must not be in vain," Chu Kuangren said. The million-strong tormented army was released because of Shang Han, and the Horizon Wing sect suffered countless casualties. As the leader of the Horizon Wing sect, the Black Heaven sect had to demand an explanation from the Shang clan. Otherwise, who would be willing to follow the Black Heaven sect? "Fiancé, since you've made up your mind, I shall not stop you. However, I do have something to discuss with you. You and I are a family. Please speak, father." When Chu Kuangren addressed him as father, Princess Linglong was elated. The royal Azure Dynasty king was also beaming with joy. "It's like this. I'm about to undergo heavenly ascension, and I heard that the Black Heaven sect has a heavenly ascension artifact that can guide the energy of the heavenly tribulation. I wonder if I could borrow it?" the royal Azure Dynasty ruler asked. The weapon he was referring to was none other than the Thundersoother rod that Honorable Xian Qi had used during his tribulation. "Of course, that won't be a problem. I'll send a message to Elder Rian later and have her send someone over the Thundersoother rod. Besides that, once the Shang clan's matter is settled, I'll refine a few medicinal pills for you to ensure that your ascension will go smoothly," Chu Kuangren said. "That's great." The royal Azure Dynasty ruler was overjoyed. He had long heard of Chu Kuangren's alchemy skills. If he could obtain the assistance of Chu Kuangren's medicinal pills, his chances of surviving the ascension would greatly increase. At that thought, the more he thought of Chu Kuangren, the more he liked him. Choosing to marry Chu Kuangren back then was the best decision he had ever made. Even the royal Azure Dynasty ruler did not expect Chu Kuangren to achieve so much in such a short period of time. After staying in the royal Azure Palace for a day, Chu Kuangren then headed to the Shang clan. Inside the Scarlet Phoenix domain, the Shang clan. When Shang Han's protector returned with Shang Han's head, the entire Shang clan was shocked and enraged. This Chu Kuangren is too arrogant. How dare he kill a young emperor just for the lives of a few people from the Horizon Wing sect? This B**** really is a lunatic. That's right. Does he know what kind of consequences this will bring? Is he trying to start a war between the orthodoxies? Let's fight then. Does he really think we're afraid of him? Don't let your guard down. In the Great Hall, the upper echelons of the Shang clan were furious at Chu Kuangren for killing Shang Han, but there were also some who were worried. "Alright, let's quickly discuss our strategy." At that moment, a voice interrupted the crowd's discussion. A middle-aged man with a square face spoke. This person was the Shang clan leader, who was also Shang Han's father. He was the angriest when Shang Han was killed. However, as the clan leader, he knew very well that the current situation was too serious for him to lose his mind. The crowd gradually calmed down. Chu Kuangren's strength is not to be underestimated. 2 of the Murong clan's sages were killed by him in the past, and now they've become an honorable orthodoxy. In my opinion, we shouldn't fight him head-on, one of the elders said. He was one of the more clear-headed people there. He knew that Chu Kuangren was not to be trifled with. If they were to fight him head-on, both sides would suffer. If we can't fight him head-on, are we supposed to give in to him? Chu Kuangren has killed a young emperor, and if we give in to him, wouldn't we be humiliated? Besides, even if we give in, how can you guarantee that Chu Kuangren will let it go? Another elder objected. That's right. Everyone knows how the Murong clan sages died. Just because of one disciple, Chu Kuangren dared to attack the Murong clan and kill 2 of their sages. He's a lunatic. If we don't prepare, we'll end up the same way. That's not necessarily the case. Murong Xian is Chu Kuangren's junior brother, so it's understandable that he would do such a thing for his junior brother. Besides, the Horizon Wing sect is just an affiliated force. Even if some of their disciples died, I don't think they'll go all out against us. That makes sense. The crowd discussed among themselves and came up with various countermeasures. In the end, they decided to wait and see what Chu Kuangren would do first. They would deal with him later, but they had to be prepared to fight at any time. In an instant, the entire Shang clan was in action. Even the sage behind the Shang clan was on high alert. On this day, a majestic elusive mirage arrived above the Shang clan. The Shang clan leader and the elders all rushed out. What a gigantic fairy boat. I can't believe the Black Heaven sect has such a treasure. The gigantic elusive mirage hovered above the Shang clan. All the cultivators in the Shang clan's territory were shocked when they saw it. Those who knew the inside story were even more serious. They knew there was a person on that elusive mirage. A person who could turn the Shang clan upside down. He's finally here. I wonder if the Shang clan can survive this ordeal. Chu Kuangren, I'd like to see how arrogant he can be. Deep within the Shang clan, on a mountain peak, an old man who was sitting cross-legged suddenly opened his eyes and stared at the elusive mirage with a cold look in his eyes. Chu Kuangren, I hope you don't cross the line. Otherwise, the Shang clan will be your burial ground. That old man was the Shang clan's only sage. Although there was only one sage, most of the sage orthodoxies dared not underestimate the Shang clan. That was because this sage was very powerful, much more powerful than the sages behind most sage orthodoxies. The Shang clan sage was already prepared for Chu Kuangren's visit this time. Even if a conflict were to break out between them, he was confident that he could defeat Chu Kuangren here. Chu Kuangren left Lan Yu in the elusive mirage while he entered the Shang clan's territory alone. The disciples looked at him, shocked by his appearance and aura. At the same time, they were also fearful and prepared for battle. Chapter 258. Chu Kuangren's visit to the Shang clan was known by many. Even some of the sages were paying close attention to the development of this matter. When Chu Kuangren arrived at the Shang clan, the sages' spiritual thoughts followed closely behind. Most of them were sages of the Vermilion Bird region. Their spiritual senses were communicating with each other. After the Murong clan incident, Chu Kuangren is going to wreak havoc in the Shang clan again. I wonder if the Shang clan will be able to survive this time. Who knows? Isn't this Chu Kuangren a little too presumptuous? I, on the other hand, hope that the Shang clan sage can teach him a lesson. Although he is impudent, he has a good reason to do so. So many people from the Horizon Wing sect have died. As the sect leader, it is reasonable for him to come to collect the debt. What can we say? Many people knew about what happened in the ancient battlefield. As long as one had the intention, one could easily find out who was the one who released the million-strong tormented army. Although some sages had the same attitude as the Shang clan, they felt that the deaths of those from the Horizon Wing sect were just a small matter. However, Chu Kuangren just had to fight the Shang clan to the end over such a small matter, so what else could they do? The Shang clan was in the wrong first, and Chu Kuangren had a good reason to do so. Even some of the sages who wanted to find fault with Chu Kuangren had no excuse to do so. Within the Shang clan, Chu Kuangren walked past the countless Shang clan disciples who were holding their weapons at him. Slowly, he arrived before the Shang clan leader and said, I, Chu Kuangren, am here to pay a visit. As soon as he finished speaking, an extremely violent sword-based Taoist rhyme swept out. This Taoist rhyme was so powerful that the surrounding Shang clan disciples didn't even have time to react before they were pressed to the ground, unable to move. I'm sorry, but I don't really like it when someone points a weapon at me, Chu Kuangren said indifferently. The Shang clan leader's expression changed. Chu Kuangren, what are you trying to achieve by coming to the Shang clan this time? I'll get straight to the point. Shang Han's release of his million-strong tormented army has caused great damage to my Black Heaven sect's subsidiary force, the Horizon Wing sect. I feel that I must settle this score with you guys no matter what. Chu Kuangren's tone was as cold as ice. Then he looked at clan leader Shang Han. You're Shang Han's father, right? It's the father's fault for not teaching his son properly. You commit suicide as an apology. The crowd burst into an uproar when they heard this. Kill myself to atone for my sins? Chu Kuangren wanted the leader of a clan to commit suicide as an apology? Chu Kuangren, don't be too presumptuous. The Horizon Wing sect is just an honorable orthodoxy, and they've only lost a few people. You're not going to stop after killing our young emperor, and you even want our clan leader to commit suicide to atone for his sins. Don't you think you're being too overbearing? An elder walked out and shouted angrily. Upon hearing that, Chu Kuangren glanced at him and lifted his hand to activate the gluttonous devouring technique, sucking his opponent towards him and strangling him. Everyone's expressions changed at that. Surges of Taoist rhymes erupted and locked onto Chu Kuangren, ready to strike at any moment. Just a few people? More than 16,800 lives are just a few people in your eyes? Shang clan, how arrogant. Chu Kuangren clenched his fist, and a terrifying Taoist rhyme instantly crushed the elder's flesh and bones, ending his life force. Then he absorbed the elder's body into the avarice dimension and refined it. Arrogant. How dare you kill someone in front of us? Do you really want to start a war? One by one the elders glared angrily at Chu Kuangren. However, Chu Kuangren just stood there fearlessly. Why don't all of you take a step forward after saying so much? Chu Kuangren swept his gaze across the crowd. Although these elders were all questioning him aggressively, not a single one of them dared to step forward, let alone attack him. His words made the Shang clan elders' faces turn red, but still, not a single one of them dared to step forward. They were just too afraid of Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren, if I kill myself as an apology, this matter will end here, the Shang clan leader said in a deep voice. Besides that, the Horizon Wing sect has built a tomb near Sunsoil City to bury those who died fighting against the million-strong tormented army. I want the Shang clan sage to personally go there and guard the tomb for 100 years. As soon as he said that, an incredibly terrifying aura suddenly erupted from the depths of the Shang clan. A white-haired elder slowly walked out with a powerful sage's Taoist rhyme flowing around his body. This person was the Shang clan sage. Are you saying that you want me to guard the tomb for those ants for 100 years? The Shang clan sage said coldly. Chu Kuangren glanced at him. Watch your words. Those are the Horizon Wing sect's martyrs, not ants. It's all the same. The Shang clan sage yelled, and his terrifying sage's Taoist rhyme spread out like a tidal wave. In my eyes, they're no different from ants, and you want me to guard the tomb for 100 years. Chu Kuangren. How dare you? You're humiliating me. The Shang clan sage was furious. He was a sage. He was above billions of living beings and he was born with pride. Yet now Chu Kuangren wanted him to guard the tomb for a bunch of ants? If that was not humiliating him, what else could it be? The sages who were secretly observing the situation were also speechless. They did not expect Chu Kuangren to make such a request. It was too much for a sage to accept. I only have these two conditions. 1. Shang Han's father must kill himself as an apology. 2. The sage must guard the tomb for the martyrs for 100 years. Impossible. The Shang clan sage roared. Chu Kuangren was silent for a while. After a long while he sighed and said, Firstly, I don't want money, and secondly, I don't want you to give up your land. I'm just trying to seek justice for the dead, and I don't want to implicate the innocent. I thought you guys would agree, but now I've been too naive. A debt of blood must be repaid with blood. Then don't blame me for starting a massacre here today. As soon as he said that, the sword-based Taoist rhyme on his body surged out in an even more violent and domineering manner. It swept across the entire Shang clan, and it was mixed with his bone-chilling killing intent. Everyone in the Shang clan felt their scalps go numb. A huge battle erupted in an instant. The Shang clan sage knew that Chu Kuangren was not easy to deal with, so he made the first move. With a punch, a violent sage's Taoist rhyme erupted. Chu Kuangren blocked it with his sword. When the two energies collided, the shockwave that erupted sent the weaker Shang clan disciples flying. All disciples below the Battle Monarch realm, retreat from the battlefield. The Shang clan leader shouted. He had investigated Chu Kuangren's abilities and knew that Chu Kuangren had the gluttonous devouring technique. A group battle would be useless against Chu Kuangren, and the ordinary disciples would only suffer unnecessary casualties. They might even become food for Chu Kuangren to replenish his spiritual power. Activate the Shang clan's grand formation. The Shang clan leader shouted again. On the ground, lines of mysterious runes began to circulate. A powerful force that was similar to the Battle Monarch domain but many times stronger suddenly pressed down on Chu Kuangren's body. Oh, is it similar to a gravitational force? Even so, what can you do to me? The 6 supreme foundation levels within Chu Kuangren's body shone brightly at the same time. Surging spiritual power circulated within his body to counteract the formation's suppression. Chapter 259. Surging spiritual power surged in his body, counteracting the suppression of the formation. On the other hand, the Shang clan sage seized the opportunity to attack Chu Kuangren. Terrifying Taoist rhymes circulated around him, and every punch he threw out felt like the world was collapsing. Upon seeing that, Chu Kuangren unsheathed his sword and was about to strike. However, at that moment, a terrifying suction force suddenly emerged from the ground. This suction force was not directed at anyone but the sword in Chu Kuangren's hand. It was as if the entire ground had turned into a magnet. Because Chu Kuangren was affected by the suction force, his sword attack speed was a little slower. He could only block with his sword in front of his chest and take on the Shang clan sage's attack head-on. The huge recoil force blasted Chu Kuangren hundreds of feet away. "There's something underground that's affecting my sword." Chu Kuangren frowned as he looked at the ground. Apart from that, he noticed that the Shang clan saint and the others did not have any weapons in their hands. In other words, the thing underground was not only targeting swords but also other metal weapons. Looks like it really is a magnet. Only the legendary prime magnet can have this kind of magnetic force. Chu Kuangren laughed. The Shang clan leader chuckled. "That's right, Chu Kuangren. We've already investigated your battle techniques. You're indeed very powerful, but most of them are based on sword Dao. Whether it's your heaven-slaying sword drawing technique or your sword formation, these are your main techniques against sages. As long as your sword is restricted, your combat power will be reduced by at least half. Before you came, I had people bury nearly 500 kilograms of yuan magnet underground. Now, your Kunwu sword and the sword formation can no longer be used. Coupled with the influence of my clan's great formation, you will die today." The leader of the Shang clan and the others looked very confident. The sages who were secretly observing were also quite surprised. They did not expect the Shang clan to prepare so much in just 3 days. This time, Chu Kuangren is really in danger. That's right. If he can't use his sword Dao, Chu Kuangren's combat strength will be reduced by at least half. How can he possibly deal with the Shang clan sage then? That's right. Furthermore, the Shang clan sage is a 6-step sage. He's much stronger than most of the other sages. Is Chu Kuangren really going to fall here today? Everyone suddenly felt that it was a little unbelievable. All these years, Chu Kuangren had brought too many surprises to them. Vaguely, he gave off a feeling that he was invincible. He was not invincible among the younger generation. He was invincible in the world. Although it was an exaggeration, Chu Kuangren had indeed displayed such momentum over the past few years, giving off a feeling that he was undefeatable. Even the saints had to admit that the other party was powerful. But now he was actually going to lose? What a pity. If he doesn't fall, the next 10,000 years will be his era. A sage could not help but sigh. It's good that he's dead. With him around, the geniuses of our various orthodoxies won't be able to stand out. There were also saints who were happy to see such an outcome. Don't jump to conclusions just yet. Chu Kuangren hasn't reached the end of his rope yet. A saint said calmly. As soon as he said that, everyone looked at the battlefield. To the crowd, Chu Kuangren, who was supposed to be in a desperate situation, was not panicking at all. Instead, he looked calm and did not seem worried about his situation at all. "You guys seem to know me quite well, and you even have a set of methods to deal with me. Unfortunately, what you know is only the previous me. What you've prepared is far from enough." Chu Kuangren then kept the descendant self-sword back into his spiritual mound before a terrifying ferocious qi and Taoist rhyme erupted from his body. Infallible tormented body. Activate. The peerlessly terrifying ferocious qi swept out like a tidal wave. Cultivators with a slightly stronger cultivation base and Taoist core were all shocked by this surge of power. This ferocious qi is so terrifying. What kind of technique is this? Wait a minute, this is the aura of a Taoist physique. Ferocious qi Taoist physique. Could this be the legendary supreme Taoist physique, the infallible tormented physique? The Shang clan leader's pupils dilated as his eyes were filled with shock. The infallible tormented physique was one of the top 10 terrifying Taoist physiques among the 3,000 physiques. It was not any weaker than the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart. Chu Kuangren had such a Taoist physique. This was not mentioned in the report. Not to mention the Shang clan, even the spectating sages were shocked by Chu Kuangren's Taoist physique. Doesn't he have the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart? Why does he have the infallible tormented physique all of a sudden? What the hell is going on? D***eminent, can anyone tell me what's going on? The exquisite 9 orifices sword heart and the infallible tormented physique are the 6th and 7th supreme Taoist physiques among the 3,000 physiques. Isn't it a little too terrifying for him to possess both of them? There were only 30 supreme Taoist physiques among the 3,000 physiques. As long as one did not die in the future, becoming a sage was almost guaranteed. Even if one was born in this great Dharma emergence era, one might even have the chance to ascend to the emperor realm and become a mighty emperor. It was already a great fortune for an ordinary cultivator to possess even one such physique. Any orthodoxy would view that person as a god's prideful son and provide them with countless resources. However, Chu Kuangren had two of them. Two supreme Taoist physiques on the same person. D***MNit. The Shang clan's sage did not expect Chu Kuangren to have such a technique up his sleeves. However, there was no turning back now. Kill. With a loud roar, the Shang clan's sage charged forward. When Chu Kuangren saw that, he too channeled his spiritual power and gathered ferocious qi on his fist. The majestic Taoist rhymes and ferocious qi converged to form a black fist mark that erupted with a terrifying destructive aura. When the sage's Taoist rhymes collided with the Taoist physique's power, the void exploded with a boom, and violent shockwaves spread out like a tidal wave. The Shang clan's battle monarchs and honorables were all forced to retreat. In the arena, only Chu Kuangren and the Shang clan sage were left fighting. That Shang clan sage looked old, but each of his punches and kicks contained a powerful force that could shake mountains and rivers. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren's infallible tormented physique was extremely terrifying as well. Although it was only 40% away from the full mastery stage, the force that it unleashed was not any weaker than the Shang clan sage, a six-step sage. The battle between the two made the spectators' hearts palpitate. 9 Heavenly Hurricane. The Shang clan sage activated his sage technique. Compared to Shang Han, the Shang clan sage technique was like heaven and earth. The violent storm swept towards Chu Kuangren, and the force contained within it was enough to kill most sages below 6th step. Divine Ferocious Avatar. Chu Kuangren let out a soft roar and activated the infallible tormented physique's exclusive divine ability. Terrifying ferocious qi gathered around his body and formed into a gigantic black humanoid figure that exuded an undefeatable battle intent. When the humanoid figure unleashed a punch, the air was compressed and a terrifying explosion erupted. The collision between the two peerless forces caused the entire Shang clan's territory to tremble violently. The ground was torn apart and countless buildings were destroyed. One by one, the Shang clan's people were sucked into the energy turbulence and were instantly pulverized into nothingness. Even a sage's spiritual thought could not see the battle clearly due to the chaotic energy. This battle is probably one of the most powerful battles below the great sage level. I can't believe Chu Kuangren has such combat strength. Infallible tormented physique, exquisite 9 orifices sword heart. What a monster. Chapter 260. The infallible tormented body was fighting against a 6-step sage. As the battle progressed, Chu Kuangren's mastery of the infallible tormented physique grew more and more proficient, and the divine ferocious avatar behind him became more and more solid. Fist after fist, baleful qi surged, and it was boundlessly terrifying. Even a 6-step sage like the Shang clan's sage felt waves of pressure. The sage's Dao runes were only barely able to block it. After a fierce battle, both Chu Kuangren and the Shang clan sage were forced back a few hundred meters. They looked at each other and saw the murderous intent in each other's eyes. Chu Kuangren, it's time to end this battle. The Shang clan saint took something out from his chest. It was a beautiful red flower that was surrounded by mysterious Dao runes. The sages in the dark were shocked when they saw this red flower. This is a blood concealment flower. The holy medicine, the blood concealment flower. Rumor has it that this item can stimulate a cultivator's potential and allow them to unleash a combat ability that is far beyond their usual level. Indeed, I did not expect the Shang clan saint to have such an item. The Shang clan saint activated his spiritual power, and the blood-concealing flower in his hand instantly shattered, turning into dazzling red dots that were absorbed by him. At the same time, his aura continued to rise. 7-step saint. He actually rose from the 6-step saint realm to the 7-step saint realm. Although he was only 1 step away, his combat strength had increased to a whole new level. At this moment, the Shang clan saint's combat strength was so strong that just the aura he released was enough to distort the surrounding void. Yeah, it's time to end this, Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Boundless divine light suddenly bloomed from his body, and streams of Wei rhymes circulated on his body. Fist path, sword path, saber path, nature path, 5 elements path, thunder path, Buddha path. Surrounded by countless Taoist rhymes, It was as if Chu Kuangren had transformed into a Taoist ancestor, shocking everyone. So many Tao rhymes. How did he do it? Heavens, this power! Could it be the 10,000 techniques coalescence Taoist physique? No way, it can't be true, right? The Supreme Tao physique is second only to the Chaos physique and the Heavenly Golden Imperial physique. The all techniques return to one Tao physique. God, how could he have it? Even though the sages were experienced and knowledgeable, they were still dumbfounded. Having a supreme Taoist physique in one's body was already considered a great fortune. Chu Kuangren's exquisite 9 orifices sword heart and infallible tormented physique had already been determined by the sages to be unprecedented. But now, his opponent had unleashed the 10,000 techniques coalescence Tao physique. There were a total of 3 supreme Taoist bodies. Did they still want to live? On top of that, he had condensed 6 supreme foundations. This was something that even a supreme Taoist physique might not be able to achieve. The sages did not dare to imagine how the other party had managed to do it. The Shang clan saint was also shocked, but this made him even more determined to kill. He roared and activated his strongest attack. 9 Heaven's Great Hurricane. With a furious roar, the Shang clan saint who had used the blood-concealing flower unleashed an unparalleled Taoist rhyme. Endless gales gushed out from the sky, and the black storm almost covered the sun. This strike actually formed a terrifying scene that resembled the end of the world. A terrifying pressure swept out in all directions. Chu Kuangren was shrouded in darkness and locked onto by the endless black storm. However, the Taoist rhyme light on his body was unusually dazzling. Transcendental might. With a low roar, the countless Taoist rhymes within Chu Kuangren's body condensed into a supreme mighty force that instantly erupted. Chu Kuangren then clasped his middle fingers together and pointed his sword towards the sky. This mighty force, combined with a majestic ferocious chi, gushed out from his fingertips and turned into a radiant sword shadow that was composed of 3 colors, black, gold, and purple. The transcendental might, the innate ferocious chi, and the sword chi cultivated by the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart. How terrifying was the combined power of these 3 supreme Taoist physiques. It was a force that could terrify even a sage. Slash. With a soft roar, Chu Kuangren commanded his sword to slash down. With an unstoppable force, the peerless sword shadow instantly tore through the black storm and landed on the Shang clan saint's body. Even a sage's body was as fragile as a piece of paper under this force, and it was easily torn in half. A large amount of sage's blood gushed out and splattered onto the ground. A loud thud was heard. The sage's body that was sliced in half fell to the ground. Chu Kuangren stood in the void, his white robes fluttering even though there was no wind. His ink-black hair and the lingering murderous chi still lingered on his body. At that moment he looked like an immortal. More like a mad immortal. The sages who were secretly observing were speechless. The strength that Chu Kuangren had displayed was too terrifying. Not only that, but his invincible aura was even more obvious now. 10,000 years from now, the era of this person shall be his. I wonder if it's a good thing or a bad thing that such a monster has appeared in the era of great battles. Chu Kuangren, this person's techniques are too extraordinary. He alone can take on several sage orthodoxies. Sages are high and mighty, but this person has killed 3 of them in just 1 year. How terrifying. The sage's spiritual thoughts retreated like the tide. The shock that Chu Kuangren brought to them today was too great. They had to go back and recuperate. With the Shang clan sage killed, all the Shang clan disciples were extremely shocked. They looked at Chu Kuangren in the sky with despair in their eyes. The Shang clan's biggest backer had been killed. What else could they use to fight him? At that thought they were filled with despair and fear. As for the dead young Emperor Shang Han, they no longer had any respect for him as they cursed in their hearts. It was all Shang Han's fault for attracting such a terrifying enemy to them. Chu Kuangren, how dare you kill my clan's sage? Aren't you being too overbearing? The Shang clan leader roared. Firstly, I have the strength. Secondly, I have a good reason to do this. Thirdly, I've given you guys a chance. Chu Kuangren said calmly as he slowly landed on the ground. He then raised his hand and sucked the Shang clan sage's body into the avarice dimension to refine it. The spiritual power that he had expended during the battle with the sages was rapidly recovering. Now, are you going to kill yourself to atone for your sins, or do you want me to do it myself? Chu Kuangren looked at the Shang clan leader and said. You. The Shang clan leader was so enraged that his entire body was trembling. He unleashed a palm attack at Chu Kuangren before he turned around and fled into the distance. Chu Kuangren easily shattered his opponent's attack and shook his head as he watched his opponent's fleeing figure. Foolish. He could even kill the Shang clan sage, and the Shang clan leader's cultivation level was only at the honorable supreme realm. To others he might be extremely powerful, but to Chu Kuangren, there was no way he could escape. However, before he could make a move, a few Shang clan elders looked at each other and dashed out to stop the Shang clan leader. Clan leader, you can't leave. What are we going to do if you leave? For the Shang clan, please sacrifice yourself. The few Shang clan elders stopped the Shang clan leader and said, "You're rebelling. You're a bunch of traitors." Seeing that, the Shang clan leader was so angry that his face turned green. At the same time, a strong sense of sorrow welled up in his heart. He did not expect that before he could die in Chu Kuangren's hands, he would be forced into a desperate situation by his clan. Chapter 261. The clan's elites then joined forces to attack the Shang clan leader. Although the Shang clan leader was an honorable supreme, he was beginning to show signs of fatigue under the combined attacks of the clan members. In addition to being surrounded by his clan members, he was disheartened and careless. As a result, he was hit and fell to the ground. What a good show. Chu Kuangren could not help but applaud as he watched from the side. The elders looked a little embarrassed. However, that was the only thing they could do to save their own lives. An elder escorted the Shang clan leader forward. "Brother Chu, the Shang clan has offended you, so they deserve to die. He's Shang Han's father, so if you want to kill him, do as you please." Chu Kuangren did not even look at that elder. Instead, he took out the Lu clan's ancient sword from his yin and yang ring and said, "Let me ask you, where did Shang Han get this Lu clan's ancient sword from? It seems that the origin of this Lu clan's ancient sword is very important to you, but I'll never tell you a word about it." The Shang clan leader sneered. He knew that he would die today. If that was the case, why would he say anything that would benefit Chu Kuangren? "This sword looks familiar." At that moment, one of the elders suddenly let out a soft gasp. The Shang clan leader was so angry that he almost vomited blood. "Tell me, why does this ancient sword look familiar? Where have you seen it before?" Chu Kuangren smiled and looked at that elder. *CK, why do you think this ancient sword looks familiar? Where have you seen it before? That elder thought for a while. "A few years ago I went to the Nimbus city. There's a branch of the Shang clan there and I saw this ancient sword there. However, I didn't pay much attention to it. Although the Lu clan's ancient sword was made of special materials, it had no other uses other than opening the enchanted boundary of the Lu city. To those who did not know about the Lu kingdom's treasures, the Lu clan's ancient sword was not even comparable to an ordinary honorable weapon. Therefore, that elder did not pay much attention to it at that time. He did not expect to see this ancient sword again in such an occasion a few years later. It was truly a surprise to him. I remember now. The young emperor, "Oh no, Shang Han went to the Nimbus city some time ago too," one of the Shang clan disciples suddenly said. The Nimbus city, the Shang clan's branch. Chu Kuangren seemed to be deep in thought. It seemed like Shang Han had obtained the Lu family's ancient sword from the Shang clan's side branch. Would the Shang clan's side branch have a descendant of the White Robe General? "Looks like I have to make a trip to Cloud City," Chu Kuangren muttered. "Fellow Taoist Chu, if you don't mind, I can lead the way for you," the elder at the side suddenly said in a flattering manner. Chu Kuangren gave it some thought. After all, they were from the Shang clan's side branch. Bringing along a Shang clan elder might make things easier for them, so he agreed to it. "By the way, fellow Chu, what about him?" The Shang clan elder pointed at the Shang clan leader and said, "Kill him." Chu Kuangren said calmly. There was no need for him to do it himself. Someone else would do it for him. Not long after, the dignified Shang clan leader, a supreme sovereign, died in the hands of his own clansmen. A sage and an honorable supreme. This should be enough to comfort the souls of the Horizon Wing sect's martyrs. An elder said cautiously. When Chu Kuangren heard that, he glared at him. His gaze was like a bone-piercing cold sword that pierced through the elder's heart. The elder's legs turned to jelly, and he immediately knelt on the ground. "I've said too much. Please, Brother Chu, no, sect leader Chu, spare my life. How can the lives of your Shang clan sage and clan leader be enough to compensate for more than 18,000 lives?" Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Upon hearing that, everyone from the Shang clan knelt on the ground in unison. Their bodies trembled as they were shrouded by a great sense of fear. What did Chu Kuangren mean by that? Had he not killed enough? Would he only be satisfied after wiping out the entire Shang clan? No one dared to ask. Everyone was terrified because they knew that their lives were now in Chu Kuangren's hands. From today onwards, the Shang clan shall take turns to send 10 honorables to the Horizon Wing sect to keep vigil for the dead. They shall obey the Horizon Wing sect's orders for 1,000 years. If anyone disobeys, the Shang clan shall cease to exist. Chu Kuangren said calmly. To him, the Shang clan was no longer a threat. Moreover, the main culprit who released the million tormented souls, Shang Han, was dead. Not only that, but he had also lost a clan leader and a sage. In the battle, the number of Shang clan members who died was uncountable. As for the remaining people, there was no longer any meaning in killing them. It was better to keep them alive to help rebuild the Horizon Wing sect. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when they heard that. As long as they were still alive, everything was fine. As for keeping vigil for the Horizon Wing sect's martyrs, obeying the Horizon Wing sect's orders, and becoming their slaves, although that would be a disgrace to the Shang clan, they were too afraid of Chu Kuangren to disobey him. Let's go to the Nimbus City, Chu Kuangren said. Apart from seeking justice for the Horizon Wing sect's dead, the most important reason he came to the Shang clan this time was to find the White Robe General's descendants. News of Chu Kuangren's visit to the Shang clan and his slaying of a sage gradually spread. Many forces were terrified when they learned about it. A year ago he killed 2 of the Murong clan sages for Murong Xian. A year later he returned to the realm and killed a 6-step Shang clan sage for an affiliated force. Chu Kuangren's tyrannical behavior made everyone fearful. However, he always had a reason for his actions, and that was what made everyone helpless. Even if some of the forces wanted to band together to suppress Chu Kuangren, they would not have an excuse. Of course, they could always find an excuse, but the prerequisite was that they had to be able to suppress Chu Kuangren. Among the current sage orthodoxies, not many possessed such strength. Near the ancient battlefield in the Horizon Wing sect, the Horizon Wing sect master, who had just received news of Chu Kuangren wreaking havoc in the Shang clan, was shocked. He then bowed in the direction of the Black Heaven sect. Sect leader, you're so righteous. Behind him, a group of elders and disciples knelt on the ground and bowed in the direction of the Black Heaven sect. Sect leader, you're so righteous. The sect leader is righteous, Leng Changkong said worriedly. Sect master, although the sect leader has sought justice for us, won't the sages be jealous of him for killing sages one after another? Won't that cause trouble for him? The sect leader naturally has his reasons for doing what he does. As for the sages being jealous of him, that's for sure. But so what? The Horizon Wing sect master had a look of admiration on his face. If they want to cause trouble for the sect leader, they'll have to weigh their own strength first. Putting aside the fact that the sect leader has a reason for killing a sage, they can't find a reason to go against him. Even if they do, the sect leader's strength is unparalleled. He has the support of the Black Heaven sect, the Royal Azure Dynasty, and the School of White Lotus. Besides that, I heard that the sect leader's reputation is slowly spreading among the Buddhist orthodoxies. Many Buddhist cultivators think that he's a living Buddha. With that, no one would dare to touch the sect leader. The current Chu Kuangren, be it in terms of background or strength, was so terrifying that it could make one's hair stand on end. It was too difficult to deal with him. After the mess that Chu Kuangren had wreaked in the Shang clan, the Horizon Wing sect became even more loyal to the Black Heaven sect. The other affiliated forces were also more determined to cling on to the Black Heaven sect. Chapter 262. Vermilion Phoenix Domain, Nimbus City. The 4 domains of the firmament star were extremely vast, with tens of thousands of prefectures. The Nimbus City of the Vermilion Phoenix Domain was located in a place called the Yellow Gale Prefecture, which was considered a large city. There were 3 powerful forces in Nimbus City, namely the Shang clan, the Bai clan, and the Ancient Water sect. These 3 forces had a firm grasp on Nimbus City's economic lifeline and various cultivation resources. They were backed by sage orthodoxies as well. However, recently the Shang clan's side branch had been having a hard time. In the Nimbus City Shang clan's main hall, Shang Long was in a meeting with a few elders with a serious expression on his face. Deacon Bai came to report today that the Bai clan had gone to our shop to cause trouble again, and many things were destroyed. Besides that, the Soulstone mine in the north has also been taken over. If this goes on, we'll be finished. The Bai clan came to propose marriage again the day before yesterday. These people are so shameless. They've done so many despicable things, yet they still dare to propose marriage. Now that the Shang clan's main branch is in trouble, the Bai clan will take the opportunity to kick them while they're down. This is all within our expectations. The few elders discussed among themselves, and Shang Long felt a headache coming on. As the news of the Shang clan's heavy losses spread, the Shang clan's side branches were affected to varying degrees. To be honest, he did not have much of a sense of belonging to the Shang clan's main branch. One could even say that he disliked them. These people from the main branch stayed in their own territories to cultivate and enjoy their lives, leaving all the dirty work to the side branches. They even relied on their powerful strength to exploit them. Although the main branch and the side branches were all members of the Shang clan, their statuses were worlds apart. In the past, Shang Long even thought that if anything happened to the main branch, he would be grinning from ear to ear. However, that was just a thought. He knew very well that although the main branch did not treat them well, they were still the Shang clan's side branches. If anything happened to the main branch, they would not have it easy either. Sure enough, his prediction had come true in the past few days. After Chu Kuangren's incident, the Shang clan's direct line of descent had suffered a great deal of damage. The various forces that were initially wary of the Shang clan had gradually revealed their fangs and claws, wanting to take a bite out of the Shang clan for a share of the pie. If this continues, I'm afraid that there will no longer be a place for the Shang clan in Cloud City. After finishing the discussion with the other elders, Shang Long sat on a chair and said with some fatigue. Behind him, a gentle woman walked up and gently rubbed his temples. What's wrong? Is it very difficult? The Bai family is closing in on us step by step, and the ancient water sect is eyeing us like a tiger watching its prey. Both of them want to divide and conquer our Shang clan. Shang Long sighed. Husband, if worst comes to worst, let's just leave Cloud City. Let's wait and see. I can leave, but there are still thousands of side branch disciples in Cloud City. What should we do with them? Shang Long was still unable to abandon so many of his clansmen. It's all that Chu Kuangren's fault. At that moment, the gentle woman grumbled, if it wasn't for Chu Kuangren turning the Shang clan upside down, the Bai family and ancient water sect wouldn't have dared to attack us so recklessly. Shang Han took your family's ancient sword, and Chu Kuangren killed him and wreaked havoc in the Shang clan's direct line of descent. Last night you even praised him for avenging you. Shang Long smiled faintly. I didn't know that this incident would have such a huge impact. Look at how tired you are now, husband. The woman said with a pained expression. I'm fine. Shang Long patted the back of the woman's hand and comforted her. Clan leader, this is bad. The Bai family's people are here again. This time, the Bai family's eldest young master has personally brought his people here. At that moment, a servant walked in and said hurriedly. Then, a handsome young man in a brocade robe walked into the great hall with a few guards behind him. One of them was an old man who stood beside the young man. Although he did not say anything, Shang Long's expression changed when he saw him. Young Master Bai, what is the meaning of this? Shang Long frowned. Clan leader Shang, I'll cut to the chase. Today, I'm here to bring Qingxue back with me for the wedding ceremony. The young man who was also the young Master Bai said. The Shang clan's eldest young mistress was well known in Nimbus City. She was known as the Nimbus City's #1 beauty, and he had been coveting her for a long time. However, he never had the chance to do so. This time, the Shang clan had suffered an unprecedented blow, and it was his chance. Qingxue will not marry you. Please go back. Shang Long said calmly. Clan leader Shang, Qingxue has to leave with me even if she doesn't want to. I'm determined to bring her along today. Give it a try if you dare. A woman's voice came from outside the door. A woman in a long white dress with exquisite features and snow-white skin walked into the great hall with a cold expression. She was the Nimbus City Shang clan's eldest young mistress, Shang Qingxue. Upon seeing her, the young master of the Bai family had a fiery look in his eyes. He then said, Qingxue, I'm sure you're aware of the Shang clan's current situation. Only you can save the Shang clan now. As long as you come back with me and marry me, the Shang clan will form an alliance with the Bai family through marriage, and this crisis will naturally be overcome. The young master of the Bai family said confidently. It was obvious that he was determined to get his hands on Shang Qingxue. Upon hearing his words, a hint of struggle flashed across Shang Qingxue's eyes. She had witnessed her family's difficulties for the past few days. However, marrying the young master of the Bai family was definitely not what she wanted. She knew that he was only coveting her body. Impossible. Even if I, Shang Long, have to fight to the death with the Bai family, I'll never sell my daughter for glory. Shang Long was furious. He slammed the table and stood up, glaring at the young master of the Bai family. Bai Feng, get out of the Shang clan immediately. The young master of the Bai family remained unperturbed. The elderly man beside him took a step forward and said, "Today the young master wants to take Shang Qingxue away. No one can stop him. Bai family's grand elder, this is the Shang clan's territory. Do you really want to fight?" Shang Long snorted. Although he was imposing, his eyes were filled with fear. The Bai family's grand elder was the strongest person in the Bai family. He was even stronger than Shang Long, and there were few in Nimbus City who could rival him. However, this was the Shang clan after all. There were many experts here. Although the Bai family's grand elder was strong, it was impossible for him to fight against so many. "Shang Long, it seems like you still don't understand the situation." The Bai family's grand elder sneered. A few Shang clan elders suddenly walked in. "Clan leader, please agree to this marriage." One of the elders took a deep breath and said, "That's right, clan leader, please agree to it. This is the only way for the Shang clan to overcome this crisis." Looking at the few elders before him, Shang Long's face was filled with disbelief. "What's the meaning of this?" "Clan leader, the situation is stronger than us. It's not advisable to fight them head-on. It's time for Lady Shang to contribute to the Shang clan." One of the elders said calmly. "Haha, clan leader Shang, look, even the elders understand this better than you. You'd better accept your fate and betroth Shang Qingxue to me. In the future, I can still call you father-in-law." The young master of the Bai family laughed. "Forced marriage? It can't be. I've encountered such a lousy plot the moment I arrived." Just then, a voice came from outside the door. Chapter 263. The Shang clan's side family was in trouble, and the Bai family's young clan leader was here to force a marriage. Just as the few elders were about to change sides, a cold voice came from outside the Shang clan's great hall. A few people walked in. The one walking at the front was a young man. He wore a wide-sleeved white robe and a jade crown on his head. His temperament was extraordinary, just like an immortal. The moment he appeared, he stunned everyone present. Even the usually arrogant Shang clan lady could not help but be dazed for a moment when she saw this young man. How could there be such a good-looking man in this world? The Bai family's young clan leader looked at the young man with jealousy in his eyes. He knew that he was one of the few handsome men in Nimbus City. However, in front of this young man he looked extremely mediocre. Needless to say, the ones who came were Chu Kuangren, Lan Yu, and the Shang clan elder who led the way. "Who are you people?" Shang Long looked at the few people in front of him and frowned. The Shang clan elder beside Chu Kuangren did not say a word and immediately took out an elder's token. The Shang clan members' expressions changed when they saw it. Direct clan elder. It's someone from the direct clan and an elder at that. "Greetings, elder." Shang Long and the others quickly bowed. Beside them, the Bai family's young clan leader frowned. Someone from the Shang clan's direct clan? Why would they come to Nimbus City at this time? Chu Kuangren had wreaked havoc in the Shang clan, causing them to suffer heavy casualties. Why would the direct clan elder come to Nimbus City instead of resting in the clan? The Bai family's young clan leader was puzzled, but since the Shang clan's direct clan elder was here, it would not end well for them if they stayed any longer. "Let's leave first." The Bai family's young clan leader led his people away. Before he left, he and the Bai clan elder beside him glanced at Chu Kuangren. They had a feeling that this person was not as simple as he seemed. However, Chu Kuangren did not care about them. He looked at Shang Long and took out the Lu clan's ancient sword without saying a word. "Does this sword belong to you?" The crowd was puzzled as they did not know what Chu Kuangren was trying to do. Shang Long even looked at the direct clan elder, hoping that he could give him some hints. "Whatever sect leader Chu asks, just answer it," the direct descendant elder said lightly. Meanwhile, when Shang Long and the others heard the word sect leader Chu, their faces instantly turned pale. Some of the elders even felt their legs turn to jelly, and they almost fell to the ground as they looked at Chu Kuangren in disbelief. "Sect leader Chu, please take a seat." Shang Long hurriedly ushered Chu Kuangren to the main seat, not daring to be negligent at all. The person in front of him was someone he could only look up to but not reach. He didn't expect that he would meet him one day. "This sword is yours?" Chu Kuangren sat on the main seat and asked again. Shang Long looked at the Lu family's ancient sword. It's ours. Of course he knew this sword. It was his wife's family heirloom. Where did it come from? This is an ancient sword passed down in my family. The girl beside Xianglong said. Chu Kuangren activated his eye of revelation and looked at the lady before him. Lu Yun, the wife of Xianglong, the branch clan leader of Shang clan. His surname is Lu? Is it related to the Lu kingdom? However, that did not mean anything. He continued to use his eye of revelation to peer into her information. The eye of revelation seemed to have sensed his thoughts as well, and it quickly brought up the information of the other party's bloodline. Her bloodline contains a trace of the White Robe General's aura. Probability of being a descendant of the White Robe General is as high as 97%. Looks like I've found the right person. Chu Kuangren then looked at Shang Qingxue who was beside him. Shang Qingxue, daughter of Lu Yun. Golden Core late-stage cultivation level. She possesses the deep freeze physique, but it has yet to be activated. Her bloodline contains a trace of the White Robe General's aura. Probability of being a descendant of the White Robe General is as high as 97%. Oh, it's a hidden Taoist physique too. Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised. However, he did not take it to heart. Although the deep freeze physique was a top-notch Taoist physique, it was nothing to him since he had 3 supreme Taoist physiques. He then took out the jade pendant that the White Robe General gave him. The jade pendant vibrated slightly. With the eye of revelation and the White Robe General's proof, he could confirm that Lu Yun and Shang Qingxue were the White Robe General's descendants. Why do you have this jade pendant? At that moment, Lu Yun was extremely shocked. She took out a jade pendant that looked exactly the same and said, "This jade pendant belongs to my ancestor. Why do you have it with you?" Everyone looked at Chu Kuangren curiously. Chu Kuangren said, "I have an agreement with your ancestor to help him find his descendants. He asked me to take care of you too." Lu Yun's expression was a little strange. This jade pendant was an antique from tens of thousands of years ago. Her ancestor had passed away tens of thousands of years ago, so why would Chu Kuangren have an agreement with him? Compared to Lu Yun's confusion, Xianglong and the other elders were shocked as they carefully analyzed the meaning behind Chu Kuangren's words. Take care of Lu Yun and Shang Qingxue? *CKME. This meant that he wanted to be their backer. If the person before them was really who they thought he was, then this was undoubtedly a great opportunity of fortune. Clan leader Xianglong, please arrange 2 guest rooms for us. I plan to stay here for 2 days, Chu Kuangren said. Since he had promised the White Robe General to take care of his descendants, then he should make some preparations for this pair of mother and daughter. Yes, I'll arrange it immediately, Xianglong quickly said. After Chu Kuangren and his daughter left, Xianglong and the others in the great hall fell into silence. One of the elders asked the main elder, "Elder, is this person really the person we thought he was?" The main elder nodded. Yes. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Oh God, it really is Chu Kuangren. However, they were puzzled again. Elder, isn't Chu Kuangren the Shang clan's enemy? Why is he here? Shut up. The main elder's expression changed as he looked around in fear. He only breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that Chu Kuangren was indeed far away. Who told you that sect leader Chu is our enemy? Don't ever say such things again, or I'll kill you with one slap. Yes, we understand. Seeing that, Xianglong and the others secretly shuddered. The main elder was an important person to them. One word from him could determine the existence of their branch clan. Yet he was so afraid of Chu Kuangren. It was unimaginable. The main elder then looked at Lu Yun and Shang Qingxue and said enviously, "The 2 of you are going to have a meteoric rise in your lives." Who was Chu Kuangren? It was not an exaggeration to say that if he decided to protect someone, even if that person was an ordinary person, not many people would dare to touch them. Similarly, if he wanted to help someone, even if that person was an idiot, they would still be able to skyrocket. Besides the main elder, the other elders also looked at the mother and daughter pair with envy. Even Xianglong was envious. When they thought about how they wanted to marry Shang Qingxue into the Bai clan, they could not help but want to slap themselves. They almost gave up such an opportunity of fortune to someone else. Clan leader, please don't mind what happened just now. We had no other choice. We watched Qingxue grow up, so we can't bear to part with her. Yes, it's inevitable that we would be a little muddle-headed when our clan's survival is at stake. Please forgive us, clan leader. The few elders quickly apologized for their earlier actions. Xianglong watched from the side with an expressionless face, but he did not say anything. He had long seen through these conflicts of interest. Chapter 264. Nimbus City by Family. The young by family leader and the Grand Elder returned in disappointment. D*Eminent, a Shang clan elder suddenly appeared out of nowhere. The young by family patriarch snorted coldly. The Bai family was not any weaker than the Shang clan, but unfortunately the Bai family in Nimbus City was just a side branch. Against a Shang clan elder they could only avoid him for now. Feng, you're back. The Bai family leader greeted Bai Feng upon seeing him, then frowned. What's wrong? You didn't bring Shang Qingxue back? Don't mention it. A direct elder came. Bai Feng recounted the incident in full detail. The Bai family leader was slightly surprised after listening to him. He pondered for a while and said, let's not talk about this for now. Let me introduce you to an important person. This person is from the direct elder. You must show some respect when you meet him. Oh, an important person from the direct elder? Young Emperor Bai Shuiyun? Bai Feng's expression changed. It's the Bai family young emperor. Why is the young emperor here in Nimbus City all of a sudden? Haha, this is good news. All these years your father has made countless contributions to the Bai family. Now that the direct elder is preparing to promote me, they've asked the young emperor to send me a supreme weapon. Is that so? That's great. Bai Feng was overjoyed. He walked into the main hall and saw a young man dressed in black sitting inside. This young man had a pale face and a feminine aura. Behind him were two beautiful maids. This man was the Bai family young emperor Bai Shuiyun. Greetings, young emperor. Bai Feng bowed to Bai Shuiyun. No need for formalities. Bai Lin has mentioned you to me before. You're quite talented. Work hard and you'll have a chance to join the direct elder. The Bai Lin he mentioned was naturally the Bai family leader of Nimbus City. Hearing these words, Bai Feng was over the moon. If he could join the direct line of descent, he would have a meteoric rise in his career. Thinking of this, he felt a burning desire in his heart. He was determined to cling on to Bai Shuiyun. He glanced at the maids behind him and suddenly remembered the rumors about Bai Shuiyun that had been circulating in the family. It was said that even though the young emperor was extremely talented, he was obsessed with beauties and would bring one or two beauties with him wherever he went. He couldn't help but think of Shang Qingxue of the Shang clan. He smiled and said, I heard that the young emperor is fond of romance. These two handmaidens have extraordinary postures. I guess only Shang Qingxue of the Shang clan can beat them in Cloud City. Shang Qingxue? The Bai family's young emperor's eyes suddenly lit up. That's right. This person has the reputation of being the #1 beauty in Cloud City. Naturally, her appearance is extraordinary. Bai Feng laughed heartily. Since that's the case, then let her serve me in bed. Bai Shuiyun said lightly. Hearing this, Bai Feng's mouth twitched twice. Should I say, as expected of a young emperor? How domineering. Did he think that just because he asked someone to serve him in bed they would come? Young emperor, this Shang Qingxue is stubborn. I'm afraid she won't comply. Moreover, a direct elder of the Shang clan came today. If he finds out about this, I don't think he'll agree to it either. Hey, it's just a direct elder of the Shang clan. The Shang clan can't even protect themselves now, so what's an elder like him? I, Bai Shuiyun, have never failed to get the woman I want. Fifth forefather, I'll have to trouble you to make a trip. Bai Shuiyun said calmly. An old man walked out from the void. This person was one of the forefathers of the Bai family, the current young emperor protector of the Bai family, the fifth Bai forefather. Fifth Bai ancestor wasn't surprised to hear that Bai Shuiyun wanted a woman. So he nodded and agreed to it. Bring the fifth forefather there. Tonight, I want Shang Qingxue to lie on my bed. Bai Shuiyun licked his lips and said, yes. Bai Feng nodded, feeling a little heartache. Shang Qingxue was also a woman that he fancied. However, in order to build a good relationship with Bai Shuiyun, he had no choice but to give her up. Cloud City Shang clan. Chu Kuangren was deep in thought in his room. The white-robed general asked me to take care of his descendants. How should I take care of them? Shang Qingxue has the deep freeze physique, but it hasn't been activated yet. If I help her activate it, it should be considered as taking care of her. Chu Kuangren thought to himself. A golden pill appeared in his hand. It was a pill called the Enlightenment Pill. It could allow one's cultivation to enter a state of enlightenment, and at the same time, awaken some Taoist physiques. It was a gold-grade item. However, this pill was completely useless to him. He had always kept it in his inventory, so it was suitable to give it to Shang Qingxue. Lan Yu, help me call Shang Qingxue over. Chu Kuangren said calmly. Lan Yu was stunned for a moment, but she soon nodded. She found Shang Long and the others who were still gathered in the great hall. She glanced at Shang Qingxue and said, "Master is looking for you. Follow me." The elders were stunned when they heard that. Then they looked at each other and saw the joy in each other's eyes. Could it be that Chu Kuangren was interested in Shang Qingxue? If that was the case, then that would be great news. They were still worried about how to get into Chu Kuangren's good graces. "Oh, Qingxue, since sect leader Chu is looking for you, you should go. Remember to perform well." "That's right." Shang Long's face turned pale. He quickly said, "May I know why sect leader Chu is looking for my daughter?" "I don't know, but master is looking for her. Just follow me." But Shang Long still wanted to say something. Shang Qingxue, who was beside him, spoke first. "Let's go." "Qingxue. Don't worry, father. I believe sect leader Chu won't do anything to me." Shang Qingxue smiled. There was something else that she did not say. If Chu Kuangren really wanted to do anything to her, what could the Shang clan do about it? Since she could not fight back, she might as well just go along with it. TSK, you should be happy. You know what kind of person sect leader Chu is. If he's interested in your daughter, that's a blessing that you've cultivated for 8 lifetimes. The main elder said enviously. Shang Long and Lu Yun looked at each other helplessly. They were too weak. In front of such a powerful person, there was no way they could resist. On the way to bring Shang Qingxue to meet Chu Kuangren, Lan Yu glanced at her and saw that she was nervous. She said, "Don't worry, master isn't interested in you like you think." She knew Chu Kuangren very well. It could be said that she was the person who knew Chu Kuangren the most besides himself. If Chu Kuangren was really interested in beauty, something would have happened between them after so many years. Rather than talking about master, it's better to talk about you. Don't have any improper thoughts about master, Lan Yu added. Shang Qingxue was a little embarrassed. For a beauty like her, it was usually other people who had improper thoughts about her. However, when she thought about Chu Kuangren's otherworldly appearance, temperament and status, she could not refute Lan Yu's words. That kind of person, even if it was her, she would only be able to climb the social ladder. Shang Qingxue arrived at Chu Kuangren's room. When she saw the charming man in front of her, Shang Qingxue felt a sense of inferiority. She said, "May I know why sect leader Chu is looking for me?" Chu Kuangren took out the enlightenment pill. "Take this." Chapter 265. Take this pill. Chu Kuangren said as he took out the enlightenment pill. Shang Qingxue looked at the pill in front of her in shock. The fragrance of the pill permeated the air, causing her body to tremble slightly. It was as if something was about to gush out. "What kind of pill is this?" "Take it. It's good for you." Shang Qingxue hesitated for a while before she took the pill and swallowed it. A majestic medicinal effect instantly exploded in her body and spread throughout her limbs, warming her up. Ah! She was so comfortable that she could not help but let out a moan. Then she covered her mouth in embarrassment. However, the medicinal effect was still surging in her body. Wave after wave, it continuously washed through her muscles, bones and meridians, causing her body to feel numb and numb. What kind of strange pill is this? Shang Qingxue wriggled her body, her face so red that it looked like blood was about to drip out. Chu Kuangren was a little confused too. What's with this pill? He gave me an enlightenment pill, right? Those who did not know better would think that he gave her some kind of dirty pill. Under the impact of the medicinal effect, Shang Qingxue gradually reached her peak. At that moment, her mind went blank as she fell into a state of epiphany. The Taoist rhymes of heaven and earth appeared in front of her. Not long after, the medicinal effect gradually disappeared. What replaced it was a cold current that gushed out from the depths of her body. The cold current spread in all directions with her as the center. The floor tiles under her feet, the kettle on the table, in the blink of an eye, the whole room was covered in a thick layer of frost. This place can't hold anyone anymore. We need to move to another place. Chu Kuangren said helplessly as he looked at the awakened Shang Qingxue. At that moment she looked around in disbelief. There was a strange yet familiar energy flowing in her body. That energy was bone-chilling, but it did not affect her at all as it flowed through her body. On the contrary, it continued to strengthen her spiritual power. What is this? Don't be surprised. This is the power that belongs to you. It's the top-notch Taoist physique among the 3,000 physiques. Deep freeze physique. I have a Taoist physique. Yes. Chu Kuangren nodded and briefly explained. Shang Qingxue walked out of the room and asked someone to change Chu Kuangren and his companion into another room. Then she quietly walked back to the main hall. The elders, who were about to disperse, couldn't help but be surprised to see her return. Why did you come back so quickly? It couldn't be. This sect leader Chu was done so quickly? Qingxue, what did sect leader Chu ask you to do? Shang Long quickly asked. Sect master Chu gave me a medicinal pill. Shang Qingxue explained everything in detail. Then she activated the power of frost in her body and formed an ice crystal in her palm. Everyone looked at each other, not expecting this result. The elders could not help but feel a little disappointed. Looks like sect leader Chu doesn't like Qingxue. Yes. Humph, I already knew that sect leader Chu wasn't the kind of person who would be tempted by lust. Only you people would have such dirty thoughts. You're the one who has it. Sect leader Chu is a celestial being. I already knew that he called Qingxue over because he had other plans. Actually, I already knew that Qingxue wasn't an ordinary person. I knew that she wasn't just an ordinary person. All she needed was a chance of fortune to soar into the sky. Shang Long could not help but feel helpless as he looked at the elders' reaction. At that moment, the sounds of fighting could be heard from outside. The elders' expressions changed as they immediately rushed out. They saw Bai Feng leading a few Bai clan experts as they swaggered in. Along the way, the Shang clan guards fell to the ground. Bai Feng. It's him. Why is he back? *M*. How dare he bring people here to cause trouble? Shang Long and the others were furious. They rushed out and yelled, Stop. Both sides immediately faced off against each other. Hand Shang Qingxue over or bear the consequences. Bai Feng said coldly. The Shang clan elder frowned. How dare a small branch of the Bai clan be so arrogant? Do you really think that just because the Shang clan has fallen, anyone can bully us? He took a step forward and a terrifying aura erupted from his body. At that moment, another aura erupted from the void as well. It seemed to be even stronger than the elders. A gray-robed elder walked out, and his majestic Taoist rhyme suppressed the Shang clan members. What are you going to do about it if we bully the Shang clan? The gray-robed elder snorted, his eyes flashing like lightning. When the direct descendant elder saw this, his complexion changed fiercely. This aura is Supreme Honorable. Which Bai clan ancestor are you? He never expected that the Bai clan would send an honorable supreme to this tiny Nimbus city. This kind of person was rare even in the Bai clan. Not only him but the rest of the Shang clan members were also shocked. An honorable supreme was a peerless character that they could only dream of, and now, he was standing opposite them. I am the Bai clan's fifth forefather. Fifth Bai forefather declared proudly. His gaze swept across the crowd and finally landed on Shang Qingxue. Looks like you're Shang Qingxue. You're quite the beauty. Follow me back to serve the young emperor. As he spoke, he took a step forward. His speed was so fast that even the Shang clan's elder could not react in time. In the blink of an eye, fifth Bai forefather appeared in front of Shang Qingxue. He reached out his hand wanting to capture her. Shang Qingxue instinctively activated the newly awakened deep freeze physique within her. With a palm strike, a cold current erupted. This is the deep freeze physique. Fifth Bai forefather was slightly surprised. He lifted his hand to shatter the cold current and easily grabbed Shang Qingxue. Even though she had awakened the deep freeze physique, Shang Qingxue was still too weak. Before an honorable supreme, she was just like an ant. However, this did not stop fifth Bai forefather from being surprised. I didn't expect a top-notch Taoist physique to be hidden in this tiny Nimbus city. Not bad, not bad. You'll be more than enough to be the young emperor's concubine. Fifth Bai forefather was elated. If a deep freeze physique were to mature, she might not become a saint or an emperor, but she would definitely become a mainstay of an orthodoxy. Becoming an exalted supreme like him was practically a done deal. Let her go. Shang Long and the others were shocked. The Shang clan elder said coldly, Fifth Bai forefather, I advise you to let her go. Otherwise, not only you, but your entire Bai clan will not be able to bear the consequences of hurting her. Haha, what a joke. Who do you think you're trying to scare? What can a sageless Shang clan do to my Bai clan? Fifth Bai forefather said disdainfully. If the Shang clan can't do anything to you, then what about me? At that moment, a cold voice was heard. Not far away, a man and a woman slowly walked out from the corridor. Especially the young man at the front. His extraordinary temperament was very eye-catching, and it immediately attracted everyone's attention. Who are you? When Fifth by Forefather saw Chu Kuangren, he instinctively felt a threat that made his scalp tingle and his heart race. My surname is Chu. Surname Chu. Fifth by Forefather's pupils shrank as if he had thought of something. He carefully sized up Chu Kuangren, and the more he looked, the paler his face became. White robes, long sword, appearance, temperament, and the silver-haired woman beside him. These made Fifth by Forefather more or less certain of Chu Kuangren's identity. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.